Hi there, and welcome to another episode of The InEVitable. And you might notice everything's changed, but it's still MotorTrend's show about the future of the car, the future of mobility. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? I'm Jonny Lieberman, joined as always by Ed Lowe.
Hello there. And yes, new studio, new year, a bunch of new things happening.
New haircut.
New haircut for him, new haircut for me. We've moved, and our friends here at Podcast One have this beautiful new studio, still in Beverly Hills, and we are going to actually have a bunch of new things coming in the next episode. We got a new sponsor, we got some new graphics, maybe some new audio.
New intro,
new fun stuff, and maybe a couple of bits that we're going to add.
But the same great content that you love so much.
All about the future of cars, all about the people and the places and all the cool stuff within. But before we get there, we do have to get through one remaining episode that we recorded actually in October that we have really been wanting you to hear, but
forget about even wanting you to hear. We've wanted to record this one since the start of the show.
Since forever, yes. Back when we started this over 2 years ago, one of the first guests that was thrown at us from the Hollywood, space was this guy, Joel McHale. And they said, hey, he loves cars. He'd love to come on. The problem is we could never get him in person, and we always try to get people in person.
He's one of the busiest working actors in Hollywood.
Right.
Also, there was this whole COVID global pandemic nonsense going on.
That was going on. And then
he was in Georgia, and Vancouver, and it never worked out.
Until that actor strike that happened late last year. And we finally managed to get on his calendar.
Yeah, October 23rd or something like that in 2023.
And then after that, the funniest thing happened.
Yeah, we had his lawyer and our lawyer and Podcast One's lawyer. So it was a three-way lawyer cage match. And our lawyer tapped out and said, we don't care really that much. And then went down to the wire. And the good guys win because you get to hear Joel McHale talk to me and Ed. Lawyers, they don't, they get paid the same either way. And so, without further ado, this is Joel McHale.
So,
Great.
Joel McHale.
Joel McHale.
Here we are.
This is amazing because, we were just talking about how you were like among the first names that were thrown at us in terms of who were some car guy, celeb, like big people that we could have on here. And
then how many times did I reschedule?
Exactly.
I want to say it was a running joke. I mean, it was just sort of like,
I can't even believe you're here. I'm dreaming.
Because we have our scheduler
through I think it was before pandemic I was scheduled.
Yeah.
This is our 70 something. Maybe
this will be our
68th,
high 60s episode,
69th, 70th episode, something like that. But it was like every month we do like a, hey, who we got, and it's like, and Joel McHale reached out. I'm just like snigger, because like it's just never gonna actually happen.
Yeah, but you're here,
and it's
Thank you.
No, thank you.
And you're wearing an amazing T-shirt. So he's got a Corsetti Cruisers T-shirt on. So
Ed likes this.
Yes, I'm a huge Land Cruiser fan, as you guys know.
Me too.
And
I'm also a big Land Cruiser fan.
Corsetti Cruisers is one of the shops. It's actually really close to our headquarters, MotorTrend headquarters. They're in, I think, Torrance or Hawthorne or something. They're right there, there on the border. Yeah. Right there. And we're in El Segundo. But Corsetti does amazing work.
He does.
And
he's one of my favorites of all time.
They're doing a lot with the 60s, but 60 series are going way up in value. So your shirt explains it completely. They're doing a lot of 80 series too.
I'm doing. I drove one of his 80s series with a new Corvette engine in it recently. And it was just.
Do you own it? Did you buy one?
I own a FJ60 from '90. That we put a Corvette engine in. That too. And then he is working on an International Scout from 1969.
Oh, so he does non-Land Cruiser stuff.
Yes, and he is. I have a 1958 Buick Roadmaster that he just.
Wow.
It was in pretty good shape, but he dialed it in, and we kept everything pretty much original, but he was all the little leaks and stuff like that.
What's he doing to the Scout?
It's a complete Resto-Mod. Like it's basically like a brand new car underneath it. And
I asked because I don't ever talk about it, but the only cars I ever rebuilt were Scouts, and with the Scout, like a normal transmission might weigh 500 pounds. A Scout transmission is 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And everything is just heavier. The metal of the body is 3 times thicker than it needs to be.
International Harvester.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were miserable to work on. Like, it was just bloody knuckles and sore backs because it was so. I'm always impressed when people work on Scouts because they're just so overbuilt.
They're one, yeah. Well, on the Roadmaster, the trunk is a 1/4-inch thick steel.
Yeah.
But Scouts are coming back.
Oh, yeah.
They got bought by or
VW.
I guess it's just licensing the name. I'm not sure, but it's going to be their EV line.
Yep.
Yeah,
Scott
so-
Keogh is the president. He moved over from Volkswagen. He's starting a new brand.
And
What's
a buddy
his name?
of ours, Shaheen, I'm going to butcher his last name, but it's an Armenian name by way of Iran. But it's Shaheen. I should look it up.
Anyways.
I'll look it up. Anyways,
No, just go ahead. Keep
he
on
was a
butchering
Rivian.
his name.
He was, I'll just keep butchering my.
He was our guy
boyfriend's
at
name.
Rivian, and he just moved over
And
there.
he's there.
And
big
breaking
job.
news:
Yeah.
Jordan Meadows, who is a big Ford designer,
yeah.
he is now one of the designers that's going to
For
be
the Scout.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
So, I gotta
As
look
a
at
Scout
Shaheen.
enthusiast, first of all, let's go back. What are you putting into your Resto-Mod at Scout? What's the powertrain?
It is a LS A 3. I think it's an LS3,
Okay.
and I would just like make it a daily driver.
Okay.
And it's going to be I was like because the technical part of it. Like when people are like, "Oh, that 1966 is a 440 in it," I'm like, "Is that the number of cylinders?" And
Yes.
that seems right. There's 440 cylinders, and just like you
Perfect.
lose like 100, and that's fine.
Right.
But I was just like, it's going to be a daily driver,
Okay.
and ultimately it was for my wife. But
Is this a two-door?
yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
It's a 68.
69.
69. So
Nice.
okay, so that's
High
still
five.
the first high five.
For your wife.
Will that get
That's great.
bleeped?
No.
Great.
That's,
You're talking
that's
a year.
actually a year where they made Scouts, but that's still the smaller body. Although
Yeah.
I learned the hard way, and by the way, Shaheen's last name is Karimian.
Sure.
Karimia.
Hi, Shaheen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hi, Shaheen. I'm sorry. I'm bad at
Shaheen, I knew your last name really well, and I just wanted to see them flounder a little bit.
Yeah, just our anyways. But we did the big Scout rebuild I did. It was a 61, but it was a 4-cylinder. And the way they made a 4-cylinder was they cut I think it was a 302, and they just cut it in half, and so it was a 151 4-cylinder that could go like 58 miles an hour, maybe.
If the whole thing is shaking and rattling.
3-speed?
Oh, I don't know. It was a manual. No, it was a 4-speed. But so my buddy and I, he tracked it down, but we found a 68 frame, chassis, frame, engine, and transmission at a junkyard. We're like, sweet. We're just going to take the body off, put it on. Turned out between 61 and 68, Scouts got much bigger, even though the Scout 2 got even bigger, but like nothing was even kind of the same.
When the moment you realized, wait,
Well, when
I just bought a pair of size 14 socks.
Yeah.
that I'm going to have to fold over 20 times to get into this size 8 shoe.
It was when we had the body hanging off a cherry picker because we couldn't pick it up with like 7 guys. And we put it down and like nothing lined up. So we had to take a Sawzall and like cut the snout off of it and then use diamond plating to like extend it and then fab up all the mounts for all the master cylinders and everything, which were just all in different spots. So nothing matched at all. It was ridiculous. But
Do you still have it?
No. It got built. The guy I lived in Northern California at the time. A dude in Utah flew out. I think it was Utah or Colorado. And this is before like text. He emailed us, but 90s drove it back, made it, and sent us an email like it got home. So
You haven't heard since.
no, nothing. It was called Grandpa. It was rough but very cool looking. It was a very aggressive looking vehicle.
Wonder where it is now.
I mean, it's in
Parked
a junkyard.
outside of a Latter-day Saints.
Right.
Yes, for sure.
So you have a 90. Okay, you got a 90 Corsetti Land Cruiser
Yeah.
rebuilt, right? You got this International Scout project. You got a Roadmaster. You also have, am I correct, an Icon?
Yeah.
So
You
19,
do?
he has a
An F-
1970. That's so that'd be FJ40.
FJ43.
43. So that's a
You have
longer.
you have
Yeah.
a full build.
I have the full bill.
Oh,
yes.
dude! So the greatest truck in the whole world that no one knows
it's-
about, but
it
right?
is, there is not a single screw on that thing that Jonathan did not think about.
Yeah.
And
So previous guest, Jonathan Ward.
Yeah.
He used to do, it was
TLC.
originally called TLC 4x4 on
Well,
the
no,
Valley.
it was two companies. So he had TLC, then he founded Icon after.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Icon had started with these Land Cruisers, basically took them way up market. He was way ahead of the time.
Way ahead.
And if you're a Land Cruiser nerd, you'll know the 40 is the one everyone talks about, but the 43 is the longer wheelbase
basically,
version.
looks like a pickup truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a cool one.
It's
that's...
I love it. And
Oh.
it hauls ass too.
And that's an LS3 in that?
That is, yes.
Yeah. And Art Morrison chassis, Learjet sunshades, everything. I mean, it's hard to explain to people because I remember. I always tell the story. Like I met Jonathan in 2007, and at the time they were like 180,000.
Right.
You know, now they're 300,000. But there's all kinds of people selling $300,000 Blazers and Broncos and stuff. So now it's not abnormal. But at the time, super abnormal.
Yeah.
And I remember I said to him, I'm like, so $180,000 for a Toyota FJ, like why?
And
he's like, just watch.
No,
he
no,
was
he
like,
just
listen to this.
Yeah, he goes, well, like you see these releases for the windshield. Like we looked around at latches, and we decided that the 1905 Sub-Zero refrigerator has the coolest latches. So we remanufactured those.
Yep.
Our badge, like a Mercedes badge, is about 30 cents. Ours is $400. It's made by a jeweler out of pewter. The visors are Learjet, Chili Witch floor mats, which Rivian copied actually. And on and on and on, like marine wiring.
There's not a single part of that that's not thought out and thought through.
Okay.
What color? What color?
Matte black.
Oh, evil.
You drive this? Where do you drive it? Around here, LA?
Yeah. That one's actually in storage at the moment, but I took it up to Big Bear with my son. And so it's just, I mean, it's a daily driver. You can just turn, my wife does not like driving it. She's like, I feel like I'm driving a school bus. And I was like, isn't that awesome?
Dude, that's so weird. We did a video, me and Camisa years ago with one against a G-Wagon, and that he kept saying that. He's like, I feel, he said he felt like he was in the Stars Home tour bus thing.
Yeah.
He just kept saying it's like a bus. But
Does he retain the original steering wheel? Because it is kind of a big.
Yes,
that's
it's a
why.
big.
So
yeah,
that's why.
no, and it's you're not buying a Porsche. You're not buying a like a Mercedes. You're not buying a Mercedes wagon or an Audi. You're buying this classic car that just everything on it is amazing.
Upgraded.
And
it goes 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's so much better.
Shaped like a barn.
It's so much better than an FJ could ever be. And actually, I think the steering wheel...
How dare you? But okay, keep going.
I think the steering wheels he makes, because my understanding on those, he gets all plastic out of the vehicle. So I think the steering wheel is something else. But the only thing...
Bakelite. It's not plastic.
I think the only thing he keeps is the chassis plate and the hood. I think every other panel is done. Like he custom.
All right. Enough slobbering over John.
No, never.
No,
you can go back and listen to that.
Let Joel slobber.
No, and there are times when I'm like, I should sell this. I can make money. And then Jonathan's like, don't sell it.
Right.
Keep it.
What? Do you know your chassis number? Or I know he's like he just popped out.
When did you pick? When did you pick it up?
Oh, 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you're
old
early.
school.
Yeah, at least 10 years ago. I mean, because I always wanted an FJ. As soon as I made money, I was like, I want to buy. And then they were all so crappy.
Yeah.
In the so beautiful and
exactly.
But there was like,
you.
well, it runs, but there is a family of raccoons living in the engine. If you want to.
I didn't know you had one of those.
It's okay. So where did this love of now we're gonna go through some of your other cars, but you have a fetish for sort of squared off-roaders. Where does this come from?
Well, it's a fetish. I am sexually aroused by it.
Yes.
Same.
I call it my company.
That's why I use the word. Yes.
Boner City,
clearly.
Boner Motors, and that's a good question. Not before. Like I was into car. Like I always had Subaru STIs before I could really afford cool. Like I always loved going fast and all that stuff, and that's one of the most perfect cars ever made. But as soon as I could afford it, because I always thought about FJs, and that's where I don't know why. I always liked Land Cruisers in high school. I was always like, oh, I think that's really cool, horrifyingly underpowered, but very cool. And for whatever reason, I never was like, I need a Lamborghini. That was never my cup of tea. Even though I drive a Turbo S, which I find the the greatest handling car I've ever
It's a
driven.
hard car to say anything bad about. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
2021 Porsche
The back seat sucks.
Turbo S.
I mean, unless you're short, then it's really good. You know.
Yeah, you gotta flip those legs around the side. But so I think for whatever trend my age of people, because as you know, like old antique cars are not as popular as they were, and I think for what our generation just decided that SUVs were cool, and you know, like you could buy a Blazer for 20 years ago, a K5 Blazer for what, $3,000?
Oh, yeah.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, and now
They're wild. It's wild. I mean, I've been to Barrett Jackson and seen like just kind of a normal restoration K5, like 120 grand, and it's like it's a 1973 design, like old engine. It's a $5 driving experience, but people just love the look. Anything below 1940 sucks now. I mean, as far as prices, right? Right.
And it's weird how, I don't know, it's just how, I mean, I obviously think the old Speedsters go for $1 million now, or $3 million, but I don't know where I got the obsession.
Where does the car obsession come from? Family? Your dad into cars?
My older brother loved cars, always did, and I think I piggybacked on him. And I didn't, because I never made any money. And then when finally I started making money, I allowed myself to. I was never a gearhead, and I would blow up any engine. If that thing breaks down the side of the road, I can't. I'll just be. I have to call a butler.
Yeah, it's fine.
And So I don't.
Good answer. I'm going to steal that.
My dad also loved Fiats, and he worked on Fiats.
Really?
We had Fiats and Peugeots growing up, which is an odd combination of super breakdown.
But this goes to your
cars.
question, right? Because you were born in Rome, and Johnny's trying to figure out whether that's like Rome, Kansas, or like Rome,
Georgia.
Rome, Georgia.
Rome, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is in Italy.
Yes. Okay. So Rome, Italy.
Okay.
Yeah, Rome, Italy. Yes.
you're-
It's the first thing on my Wikipedia, which
That's what I
it's
read,
such it's such a kickoff talking point.
Why were you born
I was in the
Rome?
CIA.
Okay. as a
baby.
fetus. Yeah.
Yes, it was a deep cover.
Spy fetus.
I was spying on my parents.
Yeah.
And my grandfather, my mom's dad, worked for the UN. He was in charge of stimulating fish populations around the world. He built dams that had good salmon ladders on them for fish to get by. So that has kind of propelled him to. They moved from Vancouver, like 60s Vancouver, British Columbia, to swinging Rome in like 65. And and so my mom was a student. My dad is from Chicago. He went to Loyola University in Chicago because he saw the movie Roman Holiday with Audrey Hepburn. And was like, that's where I'm going.
Okay.
And he did.
Wow.
And he met my mom there and had 3 boys. And then they had no money, and we moved to Seattle, which in the 70s was very depressed.
I was going to say, I remember Seattle in the 80s, and it was like kind of...
It was seedy, and everyone was like, what do you do here other than build planes and timber?
Drugs,
and then everything.
late night buses.
Fall in love with Land Cruisers. But so you were born. Your mom's Canadian. Your father was an American. So you were American. You were born as an American in Rome.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
American Canadian or
No, because at
Do you have
that
an Italian
point,
passport? No.
no, I have an Italian birth certificate.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Different Italians have like, oh, you could just go get it, and I'm like, I don't think that's
You actually probably could because I was my dad's from Montreal, so I'm half Canadian. And then at one point, because he had a job working with the Air Force, he had to renounce his Canadian citizen. He became a U.S. citizen, but he never renounced his Canadian.
right.
And not only did he have to renounce his, but his clearance was so secret that my sister and I, at the age of like 12 and 10, had to renounce our Canadian
That's got to be an
citizenship.
odd family meeting.
Just some weird like FBI dude. We renounced. It was just whatever. It was
Kids, come downstairs. The FBI's here.
Well, it turned out I didn't know this was a long time ago, obviously, but it turned out it was the genesis, the beginning of the F-35 program. That's how long they started in the 90s. Yeah. And I remember because I used to be like, Dad, what's behind that door at work? And he'd be like, if I told you I'd be executed for treason and you'd spend the rest of your life in prison. And I was like 13. Like, come on, Dad, tell me. But anyways, but you can get Canadian's really easy to get. You just have to say like, if one of your parents was born before January 1st, 1949, you can get.
The quiet
They were.
desperation of
There
Canada.
you go.
to
No,
ball.
they actually want to keep people out, but they have this.
Well, they
rule.
have a population problem that they are trying to get as many people
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but they do want to keep. They don't want like
But they don't-
Americans showing up there.
They want this guy though. Come on.
now. Yes.
Oh, they want Joel McHale.
Well, you can no longer
Absolutely.
buy as a non-Canadian. You can't buy property there now. They changed that because
Yeah.
so
Mostly
many
because of people who look like me. Let's be honest. All the Chinese
yeah.
people going into Vancouver.
Well, when
and
Hong
Toronto.
Kong-
There's also but they when that program opened, they absolutely were trying to attract as many
Now
people.
they're like, stop. You
which
bought
is
everything.
because it brought in so much wealth.
Oh, yeah.
and that's
And
why when
food,
I like
the food got way better.
Yes. Mostly people.
so much better.
Like if you go to Vancouver, the food's
It
incredible.
was so. It was just broth and weak coffee.
Moose. There was moose. Oh, the coffee was not good.
Now you can
Potatoes
get
and
the
gravy.
wine in British Columbia is fantastic.
There's a wine region there. Yeah,
Wine in Washington's good too.
it's
getting there.
amazing.
Yeah.
Drew Bledsoe has his own
Yes.
winery, and it's good.
And what's the someone just told me this last night. Who's the coach of the Dolphins? Josh McDaniels.
Yes,
The guy
he looks
who-
so much like a football player.
the guy that runs Bledsoe's winery is named Josh McDaniels. Like
That's
just bizarre
so
coincidence. Yeah.
Hey, well,
No, I think Washington wine is one of the best kept secrets in
Really?
wine, and
Okay.
it's still a terrific deal compared to
Yeah.
Oregon Pinot Noirs and obviously Napa. It is.
Okay.
If you, I mean, you can't really get
just like
get a
Temecula-
lot of it
just like
here.
Temecula.
Temecula wine's great, and their olive oil's great.
Temecula wine.
There's great Mexican wine.
There
right?
is
That's
great Mexican
really
wine.
good.
Yes, but actually, the two largest
Clear. It has
wineries
a
in
worm
the
in it.
world are in Baja California. They make all the Sacramento wine for the Central and South America.
We live in food and wine and beer heaven.
Yeah.
If you told your great grandpa or your grandpa, like this is how we would eat almost every day, and they'd be like, "This is
Yeah.
ridiculous
Yeah.
and wonderful."
Eat the
You can
groats.
get wine out of a box. What?
No, they wouldn't.
well,
So you touched on it. I did want to in your Wikipedia page. You were a tight end at University of Washington.
yes, not a good one, but yes,
That's amazing.
What years?
91 to 93.
Ooh.
But I missed the national championship.
Okay.
But you went to the Rose Bowl.
We did and lost.
Yeah, but you came down. You
Yeah,
suited
I
up.
flew down. I did not suit up. I was a red shirt at that point.
Okay.
Do you guys watch Game Day? Did you watch Game Day last week?
I did
Not
not.
last week.
Oh yeah.
I got a 3-year-old. But yeah,
How dare you? You should be up at some point in the year. Oh, you don't. You got the. You don't wake up early.
no,
You look pretty rested.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I did. See, I did.
My kid got up at 5 today.
Yeah, it's
and,
great.
and my wife's out of town. He came in and just like hit me for an hour. It was awesome. Yeah.
That's Wait till you have teenagers.
Yeah.
And then
Well, they don't wake up, right?
They
Hey,
don't.
Come on, you
They
got the
sleep with
number.
Can't wait.
What are you guys? Number 8, right? No, 5th ranked.
Yeah.
So you're a big UW college football.
Oh, I saw pictures. You were wearing
Yeah.
like purple and gold war paint, and you're just
That Oregon game a couple weeks ago, I caught a bit of that. That was crazy.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
You lost your mind.
I was there.
Oh,
This
all right.
is
Like
me
on the field.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I saw. Yeah.
This is.
Okay, we're gonna need to put that into the. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
See?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
a
me and
lot.
Lee Corso. Nice man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's-
Everybody. Yes. And then a person just handed me. This is when I left my parents live in Seattle. And I left the home going like, I'll be back.
That's maybe the picture I saw on Instagram. Yeah, but then there was another one. Your shirt came off, like the previous one.
Yes.
So,
I
yeah,
was
that's
shirtless
good.
the entire time.
That's hey.
But
you
then
know
we
what?
went to the game. And it was one of the most exciting football games I've ever been to. And my 15-year-old is a huge football fan. He was like, I think this might be louder than the Seahawks stadium right now. And I was like, yeah, it was
100%.
vibrating. And then all the students stormed the field when we won.
Right.
And it was mayhem. Wonderful Husky mayhem.
2 weeks ago, I would have been bragging about how I'm a huge USC fan, but I'm not so much bragging about that now because we're now 6-2, and
We're
just
playing you.
yes, 2 weeks I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. Congratulations on the win. I'll just say that right now.
Penix is very good.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
he's quite good. He got the crap knocked out of him during the Oregon game, but they came back to beat Arizona last week, which was not our most impressive one, but we did it.
Yes. We have no defense despite having a defensive coordinator named Grinch. So it's
okay.
just kind of
But
weird.
6-2. I mean, that's not terrible.
In college football.
In college football, USC standards, because we beat a bunch of guys early by a huge margins, and then everybody else. I think the last 5 opponents have averaged 42 points against USC.
Yeah,
and we're still 6-2, which is wild.
That's what I mean. 6-2 is not.
We got a Heisman
bad.
quarterback. So.
He's no Penix.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, and now there's no Pac-12.
Yes. All that. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
It's, the SEC did this years ago and kind of consolidated power, and then everyone else was trying to. And so I can see why. And the players and ex-players I know like it.
So what conference is Washington in now? University
Big Ten.
Yeah, you go to Big Ten.
Big Ten. But
USC and
there's
UCLA
like 17
led the
teams.
charge.
I was going to say, isn't there 32 teams in the Big Ten?
There's so many.
Yeah, I think it's 18 or
it's,
something.
It's really Wazoo and the Beavers that are really screwed now.
Yes.
Because they have no
Pac-2.
conference.
So it's like
everyone
like what, like San Jose State and Oregon.
They're going to bring in some other.
They'll be absorbed by
FBS schools.
They'll be in some other.
Right.
I'm sure they'll go to some other league because they're good teams. And they have been over the years.
The thing I can't get over, because you mentioned SEC, and I hate everyone talks about the SEC.
Yes, I agree.
But it's not like the West Coast, right? Not a bunch of dummies out here. How did the Pac-12 get so outmaneuvered?
What happened?
You know, this is like literally the Conference of Champions. If you Wikipedia, all the schools that have the most Olympic athletes and all the national championships in all sports.
But I mean, it's even the big
USC,
ones.
UCLA, Stanford.
Yeah,
and then
Cal,
a bunch. Cal too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, but also University of Washington, Oregon, even like San Diego State, San Jose State, like good football teams.
Neither of those are Pac-12. But
what am I talking about?
Yeah.
I'm going back
Arizona.
Arizona. That's
it's obviously in basketball too, and so many sports. And
how did they get outmaneuvered like this? This is like the
that's a good question.
Ridiculous thing.
It became, I mean, West Coast, and when I hear, I mean, this is a separate issue, but when I hear them say like, they don't have, our fans aren't as good, it makes me want to murder them.
Right.
Ooh.
And that's fighting words.
There is.
Our fans aren't as good. We have other things to do. That's the thing. Like if you are
like, we're the 6th largest economy on the planet, so we got
fourth,
but we can do both.
But if you're in Arkansas, I mean, not much. They got the Razorbacks.
I think it's the time zone that screwed us too, because Pac-12 after dark is like a terrible. Literally, only half the country's going to watch it. So,
well. True, but then, think about all the basketball games that start at 10 p.m. on the East Coast, and
they're not 3 hours long, though, right?
No, well, they can.
2.5.
So it's a length issue?
I'm not trying to, I'm describing the water we're drowning in, that's all. So.
No, I always like when I hear like the greatest rivalry, I'm like, no, that's not. No, we're Seattle. If you go to Seattle, you'll find the most rabid sports fan. I mean, here there's more the rabid sports fan. There's a tattoo shop that only does Dodger tattoos. So
right. Dodger fans are pretty hardcore. Yeah, that's true. But what do you think is the greatest rivalry? I'm curious about this because.
Oh, I think when the days when the 49ers and the Seahawks would battle, I think, as a kid, that was such a fun thing. And then I think, then the rivalry between Seahawks and 49ers when the Russell, 2012 to 2015 era, those were epic, wonderful battles.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to greatest sports rivalry, but don't for a second say that yours is better than ours because.
Right.
Yeah, because there's also they were like, so anyway,
I like it.
It pisses me off.
I like that. I'm just trying to think of the greatest rivalry. That's an interesting. And in college, what would it be? Because I know they say that
everyone would have their own answer.
It'd be like Oklahoma, Texas,
Michigan,
right?
Ohio State.
Oh, Michigan, Ohio State. Yeah.
Notre Dame, USC goes back.
Notre Dame, USC is a good one.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think.
All those teams.
Right, thank you.
Well,
Ding.
I feel it about all teams except for the Packers, who now are.
You don't even watch college sports.
I don't watch college sports, but I'm a big Packers fan.
Yeah,
they're officially the worst team in football now. The Packers.
Are they?
They lost to the Broncos, who were beaten 70-3. So
Broncos have won 2 games though now, right?
So the Packers, fluky, somehow they won 2. But to me, as a Packers fan, it's Packers Minnesota is the rivalry because everyone.
That's where you grew up. Yes.
No, I didn't. I grew up here. I just became a Packers fan. Don't ask. Don Majkowski.
What?
Don Majkowski. I was really into Don Majkowski. But everyone's always like Packers Bears. It's the oldest rivalry in football. But we just beat the Bears. It's not really a rivalry. But Packers Vikings, it's the hatred is so good. It's so wonderful.
Well, you need to see the Oregon Washington hatred.
I'm aware of it. I'm aware of all these things.
I mean, there's Yeah,
Let's get back to that because
go back to
so
cars.
Let's get back to
no,
hatred.
no. Let's get back to
hatred.
The opening for all this was your Wikipedia page, which says so you went to
Doing some real research.
Exactly, University of Washington.
Spy.
Yes.
You were on the rowing team before you were a.
Yeah, for 1 quarter. I was a good rower in high school.
Okay, so high school, you played football and you did rowing?
I played football freshman year of high school and then did not play again.
Oh, and you became a tight end? That's wild.
Yes, so I played basketball, but I also was doing plays and soccer and baseball.
Good Lord.
And I was really good at sports and standing on stage and yelling at people. But at school, I was a terrible student. Ask any of my friends. They're like, yes, you cheated off my tests often.
Wow.
But freshman year, how tall were you?
6'1" or 2".
Okay.
And what are you like 6'4", 6'5" now?
6'4".
And when you were playing, what were you playing in high school? What position? Football.
Quarterback and tight end.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So and then sometimes I played defense. It was really fun. I was not the best athlete on my high school team by a mile. We had guys that were great. So I was just I just worked a lot. I worked hard. I was there. I showed up.
6'1" at freshman year.
What was your playing weight at Washington?
245.
Okay. Yeah, that's 6'4", 245's.
Yeah, I was.
But then,
size. 245.
hang on, that doesn't make any sense.
I remember getting on
rowing.
the scale naked. So I
Me too.
yeah, and I was like, look how big you are now. Look at me.
245.
You really ate a lot of peanut butter jelly sandwiches.
Yeah. Well, I'm about 242 right now, so that doesn't sound that
Really?
big. Yeah. I'm very heavy.
What are you going to do about it?
I've been losing a lot of weight, but I have some power also there. It's not just fat.
You have some power.
I have some power.
Oh, you're like strong.
I'm pretty strong. Yeah.
He does card tearing. You should watch his Instagram. He'll tear a deck of cards in half.
Do you think he's as strong
I
as
don't
he
know.
says?
He says
I'm
he does.
pretty strong. Yeah. Pretty strong.
We arm wrestle right here. This would be great.
We can. You know how to arm wrestle?
Yeah. Do I know how to arm wrestle?
Well, there's like
Yeah,
this-
you
it's-
use your legs.
Yeah,
What?
you use your legs. No. Seriously, if you watch arm wrestlers, it's like
Oh well, yeah, they get the whole.
it's really
yeah,
it's-
they're pulling as opposed.
yeah. It's
to
not
pushing.
it's not pushing left. It's pulling backward.
Yeah, and then they're doing the whole.
Yeah.
And so
I was asking about how does it make sense with rowing? The 240 is really heavy for a rower.
I was not 240 when I got in. I mean, I was like 220 probably.
240 is not that heavy.
And then I quit the rowing team because they were a bunch of horrible lunatics who hazed, and I was like, I
What?
wouldn't.
Wait, why? How would a rowing team be lunatics?
Well, I've actually talked about this before, and then they'll go. It's great. They go after me on social media. I'm like, well, of all the white dude, how dare you? I challenge you to a duel.
exactly. A
and-
glove slap off. Yeah.
But
This
they
is like skull. This is the 8-man, 4-man.
8-man and 4-man, and
Did you single skull?
I used to.
Wait, I
Way back
want to
when.
hear about lunatic rowers. This is fantastic.
They had so many rules and they used to all live in the same place, so which made it worse.
so you just didn't fit
It's
in.
super hot. No, I just wouldn't pay attention to the rules.
Okay.
And like they had, the seniors had their own table that had all this tiles around it. If you stepped over the tile, you'd
right.
throw yourself in the lake and. And then there was like if you made the freshman boat, they shaved your head and your eyebrows off, and then they put all that hair into a pillow, and then there was a display case of hair pillows.
So it was a aquatic fraternity.
Yeah, I mean, but it was, and then like this guy named Jason Riney and we didn't follow some rule, and we were surrounded, and they started hitting us.
Code red.
And I was like, "This is what the."
So
He's now a
good
lawyer
sauce.
for Microsoft and married a friend of mine.
But that's wild.
Yeah, it was all stupid, and so I was like, "These guys."
Speaking as your new producer, there's your next TV thing. I mean, like bad rowers. You know,
Bad rowers.
yeah.
I think the sports that have the least amount of fans, it used to be huge, they have to make up their own culture.
Yeah.
And so, and
But
after.
could you see? I can see this a rowing show where it's like this like ultimate pettiness.
I think it just got worse, and because like that Boys in the Boat book was about the University of Washington when they seemed to be normal people who had a goal, and and when I got on the football team, the biggest hazing was singing at a dinner, like all right, get up there and sing, and then like a skit night, and that was it, and then the rest of the time was like we gotta win,
Yeah.
and I thought that was
what
like that's
what
good.
was the singing?
They were like, you just choose a song and sing it.
because I read a lot of like I don't know, autobiographies of like Packers players from the '60s, but like the amount of singing that went on, they were constantly singing. It seemed to be a big football thing.
There should be more singing in car podcasts and
Oh, please don't start. No.
garage shops. I mean, I feel like whenever I walk into a shop now, it's just blaring music.
Yes.
And I was like,
yeah.
I mean, so I feel like it's a part, I don't know.
What did
Hang
you
on,
say?
hang on. What?
Oh.
High school. Back to high school sports. Were you? Which was the best sport you were good at? Sorry, which sport were you the best at? You played basketball.
Yeah, I was
Rowing.
good. I was on the varsity basketball team, so I was pretty good. But our team was really good. So
6'4", so you were a small.
I
forward.
was like a 3 or 4.
Okay.
But our team was very good, and we beat like 8th in the nation, and then we lost to 15th in the nation.
Oh wow!
So
really good.
we were good.
Oh wow!
And
Can you still dunk a basketball?
No, my knees. I can get up there, but I cannot actually. My knees are not what they were.
Okay.
I also have a torn meniscus in my right knee.
Ew.
I still play a lot of tennis.
Never repaired.
Never
They
repaired
can
it.
fix that. You know.
They can. It's a still of like, well, we can. You can't sew it back together. You just have to shave it off. And I told my doctor, I was like, I'm still playing tennis for a couple of hours, like a few times a week. And she was like, how much pain? I'm like, not much. She's like, don't get it fixed.
Yeah.
Tennis or paddleball?
You mean pickleball?
Pickleball, sorry, whatever. It's
Did
called.
you say paddle?
I don't know, but it's the same thing. Are you playing pickleball?
What is going on, guys?
So are you?
Now look at where I'm from.
I love.
You see where I'm from?
I love snobby tennis players who hate on pickleball because I don't care either way.
Oh, I'm not. I'll tell you.
I can't tell. You're not. Are you against it? Like you,
No, I'm from Seattle.
Okay.
Where it was invented.
Oh, all right.
pickleball
Sorry.
It's from
from
Bainbridge
Seattle?
Island.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
everyone played pickleball. I played pickleball starting in 80.
Oh,
And
okay.
I
All
would
right,
come
all
to I remember getting to LA in 2000 and I'd be like, do you play pickleball? They're like, what are you talking about?
Okay.
And now all these young people are like, oh, do you pickle? And I'm like, I'll kick your ass all over this place.
So it's funny because Spike Ferriston, who you know, another former guest on our show, and I'm on a podcast with him. He's a huge tennis player. Like his whole life now is tennis. He has no other interests, and
He gave up cars?
basically, I mean, like the show, he'll start talking about tennis on the podcast, and we're just like, "Whoa." But he hates pickleballers. It's fantastic.
Oh, I
love it.
I don't hate them.
Okay,
I just
yeah,
find
you're
people
one
are
of
like,
them.
oh, do you play? And I'm like, it's one of those like old men thing where
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I've been playing for 40 years.
Exactly.
Yes. And they're like, huh? Ooh. My dad rented a backhoe and removed our lawn in 1988 and put in a
Wow.
cement slab because it's a smaller court.
Yeah, it's smaller.
I
yeah.
still
everyone
don't
goes,
understand
"They're
whether you play like. Is there a pickleball
That's a little
game
slow.
scheduled this week for you, or is it only tennis?
It is only tennis.
It's only tennis. Okay.
I'm guessing I'm like Spike. It is what is on in my house.
Yeah.
I used to just be news and now it's all tennis tournaments.
I can't remember who it was, the guy's name, but I think like IWC reached out to me and was like, hey, this guy who, he's like Federer's trainer or whatever is going to give you a lesson. I'm like, I have no interest, but like Spike would probably like that. And like Spike's never been nice to me before. And he was like, oh my God, thank you so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, is Spike a secret?
It's not secret. He's very open about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
He's very out front. Yeah, very.
Well, Spike, I didn't realize you were like me.
Yeah.
We've seen no evidence of that.
No,
so far.
I think because I used to play as a kid and I was on tennis team and
I
stuff.
played.
and then
it's fun. Yeah, tennis is good.
I hadn't played for 30 years or whatever. I mean, I did not play it, and then I caught the bug about 3 years ago, and it's all I think about.
I've been got my kid. Spike gave my kid a racket, and then I bought a racket, and we've been playing a little bit because there's a court near us we can ride to, and it's it's fun.
Do you accidentally just snap the racket in half?
No.
With your
No, I could.
Cute
but
superhuman
I
strength.
I don't. Hey man, if you want, I can.
no, I have this instructor who changed my life. He's basically like a therapist.
Oh, cool.
And it's great.
That's awesome. It's good exercise.
Shout out
It's good,
to
good
Bill.
everything.
Bill.
Yeah.
Okay.
shout him
It's
out?
an amazing exercise.
Yeah, that's good.
It's like a boxing match when you get into these matches because
You do like 3 hours a day? Are you like that hardcore?
I would love to.
Okay.
I do like I go practice for at least 30 to an hour
Okay.
if I have time,
Wow.
and then I lift weights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can tell.
What do you lift? What do you deadlift? I don't care about your bench. What do you deadlift?
Oh well, you know,
No.
Clearly you guys are not looking at my Instagram. I rep with like 315.
Okay. Pretty good.
I think the most I ever did was 500.
Okay.
Because I started getting worried.
No, keep getting. You're good. Good. You can keep getting stronger.
Well,
I'm going for my latest health kick. Besides just being too fat,
the cold plunge.
No.
Everybody.
There's these
Are you
things.
doing cold plunges?
No.
No, that's a waste of time. No, there's these things in Scotland called the Dinnie stones, and together they weigh 733 pounds. They're on iron handles. You only pick them up like an inch or so, but I want to do that. But you have to send them a 300 kilogram deadlift video to like even be invited to try to pick them up. So
Wait, just picking up rocks?
yeah, I gotta pick
With
up
handles?
rocks. They got iron ring handles. You got to do like a hook grip. It's a whole thing. But I got to get my deadlift back up to.
Why don't you just... there's so many things you can pick up.
Because they write your name in a book that you picked up. The
Oh,
Dinnie
my
stones.
Lord.
Yeah.
And then they're going to ship them over for what?
No, you
For
go to
$3
Scotland.
grand?
No, you go to Scotland.
How do you get them over here?
You don't get them over here. You go to Scotland and pick them up.
And what? Check them?
No,
you don't buy 'em. You just go
they're
there to lift
The
it up.
Dinnie stones live in a town in Scotland.
This is
Oh.
like
It's an event.
Well, here's your show.
This is a.
I don't know if I need a show. I'm just going to do it. But I got to get my deadlift.
This is a measuring contest of unprecedented.
You mean
no, it
Yes.
is.
our tiny?
Not tiny. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
no,
I
it's not.
actually have 4 very small. It looks like a mushroom, like mushrooms in your lawn. Just very,
infestation.
they barely.
I was talking about this stone thing.
But that's 500 is legit. But you could do more.
No, I used to. I now don't push it.
Oh, okay.
So I'll
I
get up
getcha.
to 315 and I'll
Yeah,
rep with that.
that's
But
good.
I am trying not to.
What are you worried about? Knee,
Well,
back,
Just all those things.
Huh.
And
hernia.
Well, I just I do try to lift heavy once or twice a week and just really go for it. But you have to be very careful. Especially, just want to. And then if I feel anything weird, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah. No, like I don't. None of that I was ever good at bench pressing, but I just don't. It's not worth like tearing your shoulders apart. So
I can show you how to do it.
I like
If
overhead.
the slight incline is.
I like
is
push-ups. I like overhead presses. but just-
Kettlebells. You like kettlebells?
I love kettlebells. That's my jam. Kettlebells
yeah,
and sandbags. I got a 155-pound sandbag the other day. Super fun.
What do you, sleep on it, or what do you do?
You pick it up and walk around with it.
And then your wife is like, you could just, move stuff around and rearrange this furniture.
You'll love this. My in-laws bought my kid a sandbox, like the worst present of all time, because then you have a sandbox in your backyard that your kid will never touch. Because
and
why would
there's
they?
sand everywhere.
Yes.
So
It's a giant neighborhood kitty litter box.
my wife's like, we should get rid of the sandbox. I'm like, what the hell do you do with sand? Like, So I bought
Pour it down the toilet.
I bought
into a gas tank.
Right. So I bought 2 sandbags and filled them up, and now no more sandbox.
And you were like, look, I recycled the sand.
She was just
that has
happy
left
that
this conversation.
She
so
was
long
happy
ago.
the sandbag box was gone, and now there's 2 sandbags.
I'm here for it.
So
All right. Well, in conclusion,
Yes.
exercise is important.
Yes.
yes,
In high school, shooting guard, high school quarterback.
I
what?
was not a shooting guard.
Sorry, not shooting guard.
I was like a three.
guard.
So
Yep.
I was bigger, but wasn't the big man.
What car did you pass your driver's test?
Ooh,
in,
back to
assuming
cars.
You passed. This is in high school. We're still in
It
high
was a
school.
Peugeot 505.
Really?
Yes.
rad.
Sedan, gold.
Manual?
No, it was automatic, and that was my dad's car.
Okay.
Which was we also had a Peugeot 504.
Oh, nice.
I mean, we had
Why
cars
did your
that
parents
were.
hate America? Like, what's wrong with America?
Why did they hate
Ed.
America?
Yeah.
Stop it.
I'm just kidding.
Well, here's the list.
My dad. I remember my dad.
It was just Idaho that we hated.
Perfect.
No, it's Boise specifically because I don't know. I'm sorry. Every other part I'm into. Coeur d'Alene, Ketchum, whatever.
Boise. Yeah.
Built-
First of all,
home built is built, one
Peugeot
of the greatest
504s and 5s were awesome. I mean, that was like the 5 Series
we loved them.
competitor. And do you remember the wagon? They had the 505 wagon,
Yeah,
which was
and we had diesels, so you knew
Yeah.
when we were coming.
Ooh, boy. I remember my dad, we went to the LA Auto Show when I was, 12 or something, and he was lusting after. They had a 505 wagon on display. And he's like, we got to get that.
But I was saying, your parents love Fiats, and you moved to the U.S., and now you're in Peugeots.
Well, we also had a Fiat Spider that my dad had for a while, where he would do his own oil changes, and that thing would break down every 10 minutes.
Yeah,
And,
that's fine. Yeah.
and it was cool.
That's normal.
We got rid of that before I was a driver. And then we had the Toyota Camry 1989, which was 87, which was the most insanely reliable car we could ever. Okay. And we literally called it the good car.
There's all these theories about why did the Japanese take over, but all it was like everybody. If you were into Italian, French, American, German, and then you got a Japanese car, you're like, it doesn't break.
Does not break.
That's all it was. There was no magic.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, there was no magic. Because I thought my dad was like a GM guy. Just had he loved like exotic sports cars, but he like just for cars, always GM. Bought an Acura, never bought another nationality of car again. It was just Japanese.
Because that was the same way. We were a Toyota and Honda family until for a long time, and my dad, whatever doctor could afford whatever. He had a Mercedes-Benz. That was his first treat to himself.
And a Porsche 930.
Yeah. But the family car.
This is like
and a Porsche 959. They only made 11 of it.
The family cars were all Japanese until my dad in the late 90s, read The Rape of Nanking. And then it kind of brought back all this stuff, and he's like, you know what? No more Japanese cars ever again.
Wow.
Now it was only German cars. So.
Right, because
I could give him
that's not a problematic history
I
either.
could give him some books on what Germany was doing.
Well, not to somebody of Chinese descent. It's not that.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Well, The Rape of Nanking was horrible.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
One of the worst things that's ever happened.
I've read that book. Yes.
Let's take it. Yeah. Sorry to.
Yeah.
I mean, that war
Ed.
was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, wait, hold on. We also had we grew up in a Dodge Aspen.
Say
I was like, hold on. Here's how I really feel.
You should have seen what the Japanese did to the Koreans.
Okay.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah.
And the Filipinos.
So you're saying Dodge?
That was also an insanely reliable car, the Dodge Aspen with the Slant 6 engine.
Slant 6s are unkillable.
Yep. It was a great car, and we never should have sold it. But there was a lot of VW bugs in our life that were of different. The first car my dad bought for us, he paid $350 for, and it broke the same day. And we're like, well,
awesome.
Here we are. And then
That's
he paid
fantastic.
$2,000 for a refurbished bug, and we were like, this is the greatest
luxury. Yeah.
And then my brother totaled it, and that was great.
I don't normally. I asked the high school driver's test question quite a bit, but I don't think I've asked you. Do you know what car you came back? I assume it's a car. Came back from the hospital in.
It would have been a bug. In Italy.
In Italy.
Yeah, it would have been. It was a bug.
1973 Buick LeSabre, blue.
I was also a bug.
And we were like, when it was like 2001 Cutlass Sierra. What? How?
Yeah.
How did you get that car from?
No, but it was. I know the car. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Super Beetle, 73, I think.
Your dad had a Super Beetle?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that.
His
dad's a heart surgeon.
Not a heart surgeon. It's a cardiologist.
Whatever.
Different. Doesn't cut people open.
Okay, fine. He's a heart doctor.
Well,
yeah.
Different. A heart surgeon is different from the cardiologist.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's a surgeon.
Sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, still, same.
That can.
My dad's reading like an EKG. And he's
Well, see, like all those surgeons think they're so much better than everybody.
Maybe, yeah.
But
they like to cut things, It's
but can you imagine you're with a Beetle? That's wild.
Well, it's an affordable car,
I guess.
Just sat
Drove
there.
it across, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that was
Just
back in the
sat
day.
there.
No
Yeah,
car,
there was
no
no
car
like
seats.
I've got them in my arm.
Right.
No car.
Good.
No
child
shoulder belts at that
seats.
point.
Fronts.
Beetles wouldn't have anything.
They would have had lap belts.
Maybe. They didn't have shoulder belts.
Okay.
Yeah, the soles. Like people talk about the car sold, and I loved every like that Camry. It was my brothers and I worked that poor car over forever and ever. It was my mom's car too, so it was It was sad when it left.
When you moved to, all right, so
LA?
when you moved to LA, I listened to the Dax Shepard podcast you did with him, Armchair Expert in 2018, and you talk about you didn't come to Hollywood until you were 29.
Yeah.
What did you do between graduating University of Washington and 29?
I don't remember.
Excellent answer.
I have no idea.
Good.
No.
Well, I graduated from college,
Okay.
and then I very luckily got a job on television in Seattle for a sketch comedy show called Almost Live, which was at one point broadcast on Comedy Central.
Okay.
It was where like Bill Nye the Science Guy got started, and
okay.
they took pity on me and gave me a job. I was an intern, and then so that was like a good job. Like I had, like it paid me money. Like I actually had a job, and it was great. And I super, as you probably heard in the podcast. Very dyslexic. So reading lines off of cameras on live television or semi-live television was some of the most intimidating thing. I could barely do it.
When did you get diagnosed? Are you actually dyslexic?
I am, yes.
When did you get diagnosed?
10 years ago?
Oh, okay. So you didn't know. You just thought you were like.
I was just like, I was told I was a slow starter.
Slow starter.
As
It's a good episode. It's
good times.
Yeah.
But so
I
they.
don't listen to podcasts. Go ahead.
Just Dr. Death. And no, so then I got married in Seattle in 96.
Okay.
And then I decided, I was like, well, I told my wife, I was like, we have to go to LA or New York. And so I left the job on TV and I went to graduate school for acting at the University of Washington. So I've spent a lot of time there. And then when that was over, that was like 3 years, then we moved. And my poor wife, she was basically putting up all the money and supported me.
Wow,
And,
that's cool.
yeah, and then, that was 23 years ago.
what. Would you recommend an MFA in acting?
I didn't go for the degree. Okay. Like you can't go like I want to be in movies. Here's my degree.
Right.
That does not obviously work that way. For teaching, it's very good to have. But I just wanted the acting training, and I think that's what most people who go into it go like this. Whether it's a conservatory like like Juilliard or a full MFA program, as opposed to Juilliard not being they're full on programs, obviously, right. But it comes down to the teachers and your desire to do it. So you work your ass off, and the hours are crazy. But
did you do? I mean, you probably did some undergrad teaching, but have you done teaching since you got your MFA?
No, but I did when I was got my MFA. I did teach for a year. It was really fun.
Yeah,
I really screwed up a lot of those actors.
Oh, good.
Really led them the wrong way.
Good.
More facial expressions, and I have not since. But boy, I should.
Oh,
be
you could.
Another revenue stream. No.
So when you arrived in LA, and
what car?
Let's say like what car, and then also when you talked about Subaru STIs, like
yes,
that's the car. When did you come in, and what was the first car you bought when you made it? You're like, I got the first big check.
Oh, well, we arrived in LA with a '95 Camry LE.
Oh, so you really stuck with the Toyota thing.
Yeah, that was stolen.
Oh, good. Okay, Camry's very easy to steal.
And they were like, 6 months later, they're like, we found your car.
You don't want it.
The dashboard is in the back seat, right. And and then that was the first time an LA cop joked to me. He was like, "All right, so if you see it on the street, don't get in it. They'll assume you were the thief, and we'll shoot you."
Cops love that joke. That's their favorite joke.
I'm like, okay.
I have a friend. I go, "How you doing?" He goes, "It's good. I haven't had to shoot anybody in like 2 weeks."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's so not
wonderful,
funny." But
wonderful. Yeah. No, and then my wife, God bless her, bought a. She was like, I bought a station wagon. I'm like, you did? And she was like, a Volvo 850R.
Rad!
So I was like, you bought a sports car, babe.
Yeah.
And it was great.
New?
No, it was not. It was used. Yeah. And it
850Rs are sweet.
Oh, it was so fast, so great, but the air conditioning was
Sweden.
So.
Well, so in Sweden, you don't need air conditioning.
Right, but it didn't work. And then we'd be like, we'd take it to the Volvo deal, and the guy was like, welcome.
Yes,
we'll get you.
That's a classic problem with Saabs and Volvos, is their air conditioning's horrible in LA. Yeah.
You did, that's
great Northeast cars. Everyone in Connecticut running around in their Saabs.
It's the best thing about American cars. They blow the coldest air.
Sure.
You can hang meat, yeah.
But then I started working in commercials, and because I couldn't get an agent. And no one would hire me.
That's the trick, yeah.
And I just started making commercials, and I actually started making good money. And I bought a Honda S2000 used.
Oh, nice.
Which I totally fit in. And I didn't look like I was getting out of a clown car when I put gas into it. Which I love that car. But if I had ever gotten into an accident, I mean, the margins for my fitting in that car.
Yes.
And then I bought an STI.
So you never put the top up in that car? Zing.
No, never did. But then I realized I don't like the sun shining down on me. And then when you're in the higher, you're like, how's it going?
You're very exposed.
And so the top always stayed up. And so then I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
It's a beautiful car, and the engine was pretty incredible.
Those engines are rad. Yeah, Rev to
F20.
9,000,
Yeah.
which was really cool for that price point.
Had the cool little volume knob on the left, like the little toggle.
But that's
the,
cool. You had STIs because I had like the WRX wagons. I had 2 WRX wagons.
Amazing.
We didn't
Yeah,
get there.
they were. What's that?
What commercial? What was the big breakthrough commercial that got you?
Oh, I did.
What would we have seen you in?
I did like a zillion Burger King ads that were based on the
I
British
was going to
office.
say Burger King, but that's really funny.
That paid, and then I did a McDonald's ad like before that. That was a regional McDonald's ad. So, but the guy when he goes, oh, this is going to be a good one because it's going to run for years. They're just inserting your face, and then it'll be like, come down to the I don't know, like the Tampa McDonald's. We have this deal, and then they would show me, and that worked out really well.
Nice.
So your face, someone else's voice over to the. So you were just used all over Florida, or something?
I know,
Or
used
just
all over the
used-
country for just like local McDonald deals, but they were sent this generic ad.
Yeah, so it's like
And-
B-roll. You made some B-roll,
Yeah.
and they would put like
And they're like,
local
"Come now to the-
McDonald's. Yeah.
Are you?
Knoxville.
Were you wearing the outfit and the headset?
No, it was about me getting my day done. Like I woke up, showered, like they did all these things in fast motion, and then like going to work and
Oh, you're the customer, not the guy. I was assuming
Yeah, I
you were
was the
guy.
customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's a residual check like that look like for like?
I mean, it says my name on them.
But is it like 2 cents? But you get like 1,000 of them or something? Like how?
No, it was
That's
they-
$200. Ed.
I could. It all
No,
just
but I'm
came
saying,
into
like-
my agency, and they would have a tally of how much money you were making. Like, this is how much you've made this year. And then my wife, we always get very excited when we would see the checks. And I remember the moment they were like, "You made over $100,000 this year," and I would just be like, "What?
Yeah,
what
right,
kind of a
right.
world am I living?
Incomprehensible
I
amount
can't
of money.
believe this."
Right.
And because we were renting an apartment, and LA was even. I know everyone thinks everything's so shocking now, but then it was still shocking. Like, you have to pay what here for rent?
Yeah.
And so that I remember that moment where I was like, we made this much money. I can't believe it. I'm contributing to our family.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm a friend of mine. He's I guess we can't talk about films, but he's a film writer, and when he got $1 million,
Yeah.
he had $1 million in his checking account, and he wouldn't pay bills for 2 months
Just-
because he literally had 1 million,
And then-
he's like, if it went down, he would not be a millionaire,
And then $500,000 in penalty fees for being.
Oh yeah,
late on
yeah.
his
No, he
bills.
ruined it, but it was really funny. He just kept showing me. He's like, "Look, I have $1 million." I'm like, "Okay, but you gotta, your daughter needs to eat, you know."
Yeah, we're like, this would have been really great in
Yeah.
1905.
Right,
when you could
right.
have owned a mountain range.
Yes,
but,
yeah. It's not
and your
quite-
own train car. But no, those early years, it was. I could not get an agent. So
But like if you back then like a national commercial was a good payday.
Yes,
right? Yeah,
it was a good payday.
Because people, I don't know if they ever think about it, but like I have friends,
Yeah.
obviously, grew up here. I know a lot of people do commercials, and like it's like, oh, you got like what 50?
yeah, you could end up getting
50
40 or
grand,
50,
40, 50. Yeah,
You could. There was the only problem was like sometimes you'd shoot these big ads and then they would never get used.
Yes.
And so that you'd get your day rate.
yeah, but you wouldn't get the second.
You
part of
wouldn't
it.
get any residuals for use.
Right.
And now that's all, it's all kind of, now it doesn't work the same.
Right.
That's partially why we're all doing this. So,
Yeah.
this big strike. And so that, in the 80s, I mean, you could buy, if you were in a Nestea plunge ad, you could buy Beverly Hills. And,
Right.
but it was still like, that's all I was doing was commercials. And I was like, I literally was like, well, if I can't get on TV or movies, then I will just be the greatest commercial actor of all time. I literally was like, well, this is what I'm doing.
But there's people who I don't know if anyone does like just commercials, but you do like commercials, ADR, background work. You can make a real living,
You can.
yeah, or at least you could. I mean, I know that's
What was your what was on your headshot? What was the description? what was like? That's
There was white dude actor.
that's what I'm saying.
No, there's only a few of us.
So you had to set yourself apart. Like, what did you put? Like, you could
No, you never.
nothing. There's
Like
no,
all that.
was there a
thing-
picture of you like doing a karate pose or something, or
Racist.
Do your own stunts?
No. I remember early on there was like you have to have the happy face and then the
Yeah.
serious face, and that
Right.
was in high school and like college when then like I remember like getting here and they were like, you don't do any of that.
Okay.
And no, there was no sort of, I mean, it listed theater credits and stuff, but you know, when you look at that, I noticed when I would go into auditions that I would always improvise, and usually that there was really, I mean, there's so many great improvisers here, but that's what I would end up doing, or I would memorize the commercial scripts because so many people would walk in and just read it, and I'd be like, I'm going to be off book.
30 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I remember like I was like, each one of these is going to be a performance, and so and then when you start getting, this is like any casting director, but when you get like when they're like, oh, that guy was good in that audition, he didn't get that one, but I should bring him in for this one because they're looking for something similar, and then that once you get into that game, then it's great. And then you get to go and know a couple directors. I still work with a couple of the directors that I worked back with like in 2003 that they're still around. And like if they're like, who do you want to work with? I was like, here's my list of people that I love to be with. But so it's like everyone's always like, it's Hollywood. It's just who you know. Yes, it's a lot, just like any other business.
Just like any other business.
All the mechanics know all the other mechanics. All the lawyers know all the other lawyers, and all the actors and directors. They all know each other. So
Right.
But you were doing commercial work, but hoping to land a gig as any kind of TV, film, leading, or sort of
yeah. No,
regular
I was
cast.
like I was open to. I wanted to be in film and television. That was my dream. But that was where, like, many of my actor friends would be, oh, I wouldn't do that. That's not the thing. Like,
Right.
But I was like, this. Greg Kinnear did this, and that guy has an Oscar nomination. So this seems like because I realized. And someone said that Hollywood, yes, it's a lot. You have to have a lot of talent, but it's also a popularity contest.
Yeah, and perseverance, though, right? I mean, you got to keep going back. Like, no one nails their very few people nail their first audition
or their thousandth.
Yeah.
I mean, Harrison Ford, when he got his Golden Globe lifetime achievement before the Golden Globes were problematic, he was like, literally said like, I'm only here because everyone else left.
Yeah,
and
he was a set carpenter.
There's truth to that. He also is a phenomenal actor. Obviously
generational talent. We get all that.
But he was like, everyone else left, and that's just showing up is more than half the battle.
Do you think this is a super ignorant question. Do you think you're too tall for some of the, I look at all of
for you, yes,
for me, but like a lot of like the Tom Cruises, they're way shorter.
They adjust, right? So
yeah, they make
they got boxes,
apple crates and stuff.
Yeah, well, like Charlton Heston's like 6'6", so like there's all sorts of super tall dudes and super short dudes that's all different sizes, but they don't go. Sorry, there's a height maximum on this movie.
I don't know. I was just thinking, like, in terms of like in an ensemble cast, like he's look at Friends. Everybody in Friends is like the same.
But
height.
they got boxes and stuff.
I've been in multiple shows where if I'm in a conversation, the other person's standing on a box.
Yeah,
it's some Hollywood magic here.
I mean, it's not really that magic.
I know.
It's a box.
It's you're standing on a box.
I know. You go back to like
yeah.
In Greek tragedy, right? They wanted the guy who had the biggest head. That's the thing I read. Like because the guy in the stands in the Acropolis has to see this guy's facial features. They had actually a mask on him and big voice, big head.
His facial features through a mask.
Well, depending if you're wearing a
long
mask
time ago.
So it was really about the costumers. Like, look, this is an extra large mask
for this guy. Yeah.
I mean, there's all whenever I hear like, oh, well, this is what you got to do. I'm like, well, until somebody does something different.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's all different.
All right.
And
I want to change this a little bit because we can't really talk about a lot of what you did because of the strike, but we can talk about my son's favorite show.
Yes.
Suddenly, Crime Scene Kitchen.
Crime Scene Kitchen on Fox.
I am loving this show, and it was one of those because we were big Lego Masters fans, and it was
great show.
The Lego
With
Masters.
Will Arnett, he's amazing.
He is really great, but it's still traditional TV where you can't binge it. You got to wait every week, and so it's like watch Crime Scene Kitchen, and I'm like, oh, that's my friend Joel. Okay, we can watch. Like thinking of like but it was actually really good. Like
It's a good show.
Tell us about this show because it is
a crime has been committed. No, it's we always made all those jokes. Like a chef's been murdered.
Yeah. Oh, that one.
And you must complete this recipe. So no, it's where teams of bakers go into a kitchen.
And it's a dessert show.
It is a dessert show. It's a cooking show, and something's been made. There's no recipe, and then they're like, oh, there's some fondant, there's some flour, there's some like whatever spices, and then they have to guess what it is and then make it, and then who's ever closest wins that round, and whichever tastes best if everyone's getting the right thing. So you don't know what they're like.
So in other words, if two people come up with like, oh, that was a lemon meringue pie,
right,
the one that tastes better would then win.
Right, if there was 2 or 3 lemon meringue pies.
Right, but if there's only one lemon meringue pie, then they win the safety part of it.
Then they're safe.
Wait. Does somebody come? Does the pros come in, make something, and then that thing is squirreled away, and then you guys come in after and try to figure out and make the same thing? Is that kind of the shtick?
It being the magic of television, there's a whole group of bakers who set these challenges, but they have to bring in other pros to go, can you guess what it is?
Oh, but they don't actually, the first team doesn't actually make the thing. It's not like you're not comparing like...
No, they do. No.
They do end up making the thing. The pro version comes out at the end.
What do you call it? The Confectionator 3000?
Confectionator 3000, which my friends Boyd and Brad named. Confectionator 3000, please reveal.
It's like a red box with smoke that like goes down, and then you see the actual cake.
Yes, it's great when that thing malfunctions, and then it's got 3 sides that all fall at once, and then if only one goes down, I'm like, it's right behind here, I swear. But so they have to, like with any challenge like that in a game show or reality show, they can't. They don't go, well, I hope this works. Right. They have to have all these pros do it to see like, all right, this is safe, for something that involves like a big physical task, but this is safe or this is not impossible, or it's not too easy. They don't want it to be too easy.
Got it.
And then the hero dessert, the ones that they're making I've tried them and they're so good. And I did not appreciate cake until I got on that show, and because cake is largely European, right, and the French kind of ultimately invented fine dining, European, Western fine dining, but I'm blown away by some of these things. I'm like, now I love cake. I'm going to eat it like a princess cake. I never even knew what it was, and then greatest thing ever.
I could really talk about this for another hour, but I'll try to.
Your son likes it.
Well, he likes it, but again, he watched a lot of stuff that I'm like, ugh. And I've just been really getting into it because it's like what's wild about it is, and there's when it starts, I think you have 6 teams of 2.
Yes.
Okay, and they all look at the clues and they come up with wildly different things, which is super entertaining because I don't know if anyways, it's crazy because like. I don't know. It seems like a silly premise, but it's actually really good. Like
when they're off, it's hilariously off, and you feel bad for them. But sometimes it's really tasty.
Yeah. Well, now let me ask you this because I've had a couple of friends of mine who've been like judges on like Top Chef and stuff like that, and they're always like, the food is disgusting. They're like, despite whatever we say, like it's always bad and cold and awful. Like, are the desserts good?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, they can be.
Okay.
I mean, other than when like we drank raw eggs by accident when this pie didn't work out. But no, I've asked Curtis Stone and Yolanda Gamp, who are they're Martians. They're so good. They're from some other planet. They're so good at baking and what that mean. They're amazing. But I gained like 10 pounds each season.
Yeah, sure.
And I won't stop eating.
Okay,
I
so
was
it's
like,
good.
give me more, and then I always have a cup of coffee ready to go,
Right.
and then we always fall asleep during lunch because I've had so much sugar
Right.
that my body. I was like, I wonder what's worse, all this sugar or like a pound of cocaine? No, but it's a lot of sugar. But I was like, this is my job. It's great.
Yeah.
Were you a foodie before you did the show? Would you call it?
Yeah,
You're a meat guy.
Yeah, I love meat, and I was to ask my wife. I'm a total snob when it comes to food, and like if we are working like right now. I work in Vancouver, and like my aggressive restaurant lists are pretty. Yes, I get very much into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because I knew you were a big beef steak.
I do, yeah, like lots of meat. But everyone thinks I'm eating steak every night, and I don't.
How big a meat? Are you dry aging your own steaks?
No.
Oh, because he does that.
Yeah.
Good for you. Are they any good?
They're amazing. It's very cheap to do. I can set you up. You just get a dorm fridge. Go on Craigslist. Get yourself a dorm fridge. Make sure it goes below 43 degrees. And
you can cut all the cheese off of them, and
yeah, just cut it up, hang it, come back in 21 days before it changes.
And is that saving money? Or
I
is
call
it just
it's
fun?
like mining. This is what I tell people. It's like making your own meat Bitcoin. Like you put it in.
And that's worked out great.
Exactly. Well, you put it in, and 45 days later, you have this most amazing thing that is increased in value by 3 to 5 times.
And you sell it then?
I don't sell. I eat it. But you could. It could. Theoretically, you could.
I would love to see Ed selling meat. This would be
people buy it.
fantastic.
I mean, you could just walk down your street
Right,
with
totally.
like a little cart. No, like wine, which I love. I would never pretend to be able to make it well because you got to be a chemist,
Well,
basically.
Now, wine's actually pretty easy. Beer's got to be a chemist, but wine.
What?
Look at this guy.
I used to brew beer. Wine's,
You
know,
kidding
telling
me?
you.
Making a good bottle of wine is very hard.
just need good grapes. There's not much else in it. It's kind of yeast grapes and sulfite. There's not.
Yeah, no, I mean
there's
that's just going like, well, what's a combustion engine? It's just a bunch of metal and
No,
some
but
fuel.
like
and...
with like beer, there's like temperatures you got to worry about and all the sanitation. Wine, the alcohol is so high it kills everything.
Good luck
there are
with this
people
conversation.
listening to the people that make wine right now. You're like that.
Yeah, well, but I was gonna say back to meat for a second.
Back to meat.
Who could you take Curtis Stone in a fight?
In a meat fight?
No, just like you guys are both kind of big dudes. I watched the show, especially standing next to Yolanda. Yeah, like, he's a
strapping man.
large dude.
I don't know what his fighting skills
He's
are.
Australian, so he'd probably just kill you.
I mean, that's a good point. But I fight pretty dirty.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so do Australians, right?
Yeah. I mean, I go right for the balls in the eyes. I'm not sort
Okay.
of like, all right.
Okay.
I like a fight. Who would win in a fight here?
Oh, I'd win.
Really?
No, he'd kill me. He's like a black belt in judo or something. He'd actually
a long
probably
time
kill
ago.
me. Yeah, he'd still probably kill me.
See, if we were all fight, I would find a way to stab you guys with the tripods.
We'll do that in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, no,
I think that would be good. That, or maybe the last episode. Which this could be it.
This is the last
I
one
feel
here, so
this.
This is it. This.
Oh!
Before you ask that question, I want to say on one of your posts, I'll never forget it because remember when Rivian got a bunch of for raising their prices after.
Yes.
And then you wrote the thing about Ralph Nader having the car companies were sending hookers to him.
Yes.
And I
our
remember
CEO made me take that post down. Yes.
no way.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was like, wow, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, that's a true story. So when Nader, here's what I never forget. So he publishes Unsafe at Any Speed in 1965. Now the Corvair came out in 1960, and for the refresh in '64, everything Ralph was writing about, GM had done because it was a death trap, and they knew it. And that's the horrible part, that they knew it. But he writes the book and. Unsafe at Any Speed is not about the Corvair. Unsafe at Any Speed is just about how dangerous cars are. And so chapter 1 was Corvair. Chapter 2 was how they P, R, and D wasn't standardized. And so you'd get into your wife's car, which was different, and you'd put it in drive, which is really reverse, and run over your kid. Chapter 3 was about how the brakes in Buick suck. Chapter 4 was about the bug, on and on.
Yeah.
But GM, because it became the book about the Corvair, because it was really, really were dangerous.
Right.
That what they did was they wanted to get Nader, and they sent prostitutes to his hotel room to try and ensnare him, and they had like PI or not PIs, but the guys with cameras are going to jump in or something, and Nader didn't fall for it, and the lawsuit, which GM had to not only admit they did it. But they had to pay him a fine. He used that to found his Nader Institute, which led to his Green Party run, which led to George Bush winning in Florida, which led to Al Gore not being president, which led to the Iraq War. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like insane.
I'll just never. Yeah, I mean, because I remember it started from Rivian raising their prices when obviously supply chains fell.
Well, it
apart.
was everyone raised their prices, but it was just one of those things where the response to it was like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened, and I'm like,
it was like when U2's album appeared on everyone's iPod, and you're like, damn.
Well, that one I agree with. That was really awful.
So
that was
sorry for this free stuff that you can just delete right off your iPod.
No, I agree.
This is where we drew the line.
That was really bad.
Bridge too far.
This was This is great because this is
mad at you too.
This is kind of why one of the first questions I want to ask. And look, we're like over an hour in.
Ed brought us back.
How
I don't want to go back. I don't.
How did you get? Why are we even talking to? Like, are you guys friends on Instagram?
We were
Instagram friends.
We wrestled for a while.
Yeah.
We were at it's like a wrestling club.
Me, him, Curtis Stone, bunch of beef. You know. It was,
no, but is this
so hot?
Instagram
Brum Brands. Yeah. We were both cars, and then you
reached out first.
I think you got when you got your Porsche, you had a question for me. No, you were gonna buy the Porsche, I think because Spike was our mutual friend or something like that. And I think you had should I buy this? I think. And I was like, again, it's impossible to say anything bad about a Porsche Turbo S because
that might be slightly overpriced, but
but again, if you look at cars that are priced the same, the Turbo S beats them. If you look at cars that are more expensive, the Turbo S is more comfortable, it's more practical, it's quicker.
They're really it's a miracle.
They're really good cars.
The handling is like I can't believe it when it's.
Yeah, I mean, look, you get into not to ignore your question, but you get into like a GT3 would outhandle it, but then you lose a lot of daily ability in the GT3, where the Turbo S is like, if you need to. I drove one from Atlanta to LA, and like it was the perfect road trip car, and then. I drag raced. John Hennessy had like a 700 horsepower Cadillac. I beat him like 21 times in a row. Jeez. And it's like, then get back in and like you're comfortable driving.
Just drive it. And hey, it gets decent gas mileage if you're not hammering it.
Yeah. So then.
Wait, so I will say, the reason why I religiously watched Johnny's videos, they were funny. But you just putting your camera and like in a brand new car, going like, "Oh, this is where," just like sticking your finger in the the vents, be like, "Well, this is how this one works. This dash is set up like this." I appreciated those videos so much because you really got this inside thing on the car, whatever car it was.
So his social media videos, I'm trying to get into your headspace in terms of what's your automotive media consumption. Were you watching him on when he had a YouTube show it's called Head to Head and Ignition? Or any of that, or is this only in...
Style? I was watching him on Style Network.
On Style Network?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So
I was on there. No, it was all Instagram.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember, I do it once in a while, but I would do like interior. It was kind of like during the pandemic, there wasn't much to do. And so I was doing like interior reviews of cars. It was easy. You sit there and it was like people dug it. I'm a victim of my own laziness. So like it's like I did a bunch of them. They're really popular. And I'm like, I'm bored of that.
But that was where the love affair started. But the minutia that what you would go into, I thought was really interesting. And
well, thank you.
And your breakdown of like, oh, here's why I like this car and here's why I don't. And I thought it was all very.
Well,
it didn't seem like you were like. It never was like a free U2 album on an iPod.
That's horrible. No,
right? That's
want that.
God forbid.
Woof,
yeah,
woof.
That's
fate worse than death because U2's involved. Yeah.
So
what if it had been? I'm trying to think of the band. You're gonna be like, if it had been a new Hootie and the Blowfish album, I would have been all over it.
So
Hootie, very popular country singer now.
It wouldn't be that either. Yeah.
In our 75th minute, I just got the nod. Let's finally start talking about.
Does anyone just run through the plate glass?
We can because this is the last week in the studio. They're moving to a new studio, so I think
just break some.
We can take this table and put it through the glass. I think
we can have the fight you guys were talking about.
I mean, it's gonna get torn. I mean, someone's gonna redesign this office.
Yeah,
let's
do it.
Yeah, I'm only fighting Curtis Stone though. I won't fight Joel.
Okay.
I've decided suddenly, randomly.
No, I got my lower back. I hurt my back weightlifting on Wednesday morning, so this is a good time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fully recovered. My strength is coming back. It's great.
Are you going to work out today?
Depends on. I have to look at my phone, so I might have something where I can't. But if the person
making excuses,
yeah,
no,
during the pandemic, I was like, if I don't work out every day, I'm going to become, I will just drink all the wine and eat all the food.
My problem was during the pandemic, I was working out every day and also eating like 5,000 calories a day. And I got up to like 257 pounds. And I was like, I'm stronger than I've ever been in my life. And none of my clothes fit. Honey, the dryer is shrinking on my shirts. And then she took a video of me and I was like, oh my God.
I during the pandemic, I was naked, thank you, in our bathroom. And
It happens, yeah.
And I was like, what do you think, hon? She goes like, yeah, you could lose a couple. And I was like, and then, yeah. Then I just started mainlining Ozempic.
Not that way. Don't listen that way.
Oh, how have you played with those Ozempic?
No, no. I don't have. Yes, I mean for some people it's very useful, but
A friend of mine's on it, and I saw him like, dude, you look great. What's going on? He's like, oh, I'm on Ozempic.
I forgot to eat for the last 2 weeks.
And I go, how is it? He's like, it's great, except you leak grease out of your butt. And I go, I don't want to be on that.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a side effect.
Apparently, like that, like Olestra.
Olestra.
Yeah. Olestra chips.
I don't want that. I don't. Yeah, that's.
That can, happy
But
with
yes.
a very oily dinner.
If I work out today, it is a whole bunch of kettlebells and then leg day. So
Look at you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to do, because my back is jacked up, I'm going to try to do a bunch of chest stuff.
Okay.
And then I'll play tennis and then re-injure my back.
I was going to say tennis is so hard on your
With
back.
enough
right?
Advil.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a bit obsessive, very obsessive, so I will.
Where do you play?
My home.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's worked out, guys.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
gotcha. I
No.
gotcha.
We understand. Yeah. I've seen you on
Who do you
the,
play
on the
against?
screens.
You play against your
Oh,
kids?
I do play against one of my kids. Loves sports. One of them is not interested. He's really good, but my wife is really good. And then I will have different people come over.
Do you have an instructor come?
No, our instructor Bill. He went to Stanford and was a pro, and he's the guy that I said was like he's basically a therapist, and
Right.
he has changed. Like, because I was like, how come I didn't learn this in the '80s? He was like, oh, it didn't exist. No one held the rackets this way.
Yeah, it's gotten technical. Yeah.
Well, no, just like the way that if you look at Coco Gauff, like the way she holds her racket, it's just open, like she's ready to go. I mean, it's all changed, and it's great.
How much of that do you think is due to the technology in the rackets, though? Like if we gave Coco Gauff and
A wooden racket.
go back, give him the racket from like the 80s.
They would destroy. They would be so great.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like, like if you look at, they were, McEnroe and Bjorn Borg, when they were going at it, I mean, they were at the they were pushing that technology to the very edge. And then, of course, graphite, metal came in and then graphite. But it's not like they're so much better. And Pete Sampras figured out that he could serve for matches, and then they had to make the balls a little softer because no one could return anything. I mean, still, you get aces all the time, but it's not. I mean, if you look at basketball from the 50s, it wasn't because the shoes got better that the skill level got better. It was just the evolution of the sport.
Right.
So,
Got bigger, more people.
Yes, I mean, then you can see most recently, like Steph Curry changed the sport. That a guy who's 6'1" changed the game
Can't
and
miss.
outscored everybody because he was just like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to pull up 4 feet before the 3-point line,
Yeah.
and no one was doing that.
I'd love to see that though, because I remember in the pandemic, one of the things I watched early pandemic, right, was the Michael Jordan series.
One of the greatest.
Yes, and he talks about how he wore his original Air Jordans in a game, and when he finished, I think for a half, took them off. His feet were bleeding because the shoe technology had advanced so far. And
you could I mean, yes, I would. That's interesting that he said that. That I remember that. But also, if you put on a brand new pair of shoes and you're used to a different kind, you're gonna like if you go run a marathon on a brand new pair of shoes or go hiking.
I remember reading Kurt Rambis wore the same pair of Converse for 14 seasons or something like that. And they asked him about it, like, you just wore the same shoes? He's like, I've never jumped.
Yeah, well, but he's like his knees, like that's all he was pounding on.
I mean, and if you're 6'11", you don't really need to jump.
No,
I will tell you guys a very personal story
Oh,
about
but when
shoes.
you played Kurt Rambis,
No. This is insight into my upbringing and the
he's a
lack
very
of
nice
focus.
man, and so is his wife.
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
delightful
I mean,
people.
always loved. I was a huge Kurt Rambis fan. I mean,
delightful.
How could you not be?
So in high school, one of my good friends, his name is Jeremy Fisher. He made Sports Illustrated because he was 5'9" and he jumped 7'2". He's a high jumper, 7'2". He had set the national record for a high jump in his sophomore year.
You went to high school with him, or just for
I
fun?
went to high school together. My parents were not of the. This is a Nike Air. I went to high school in the the 90s, right? Early 90s. Nike Air starting to take every kid
Yes.
had to have the Airs. My parents were like not into that. So I resorted to buying a
I had
pair of
Asics gels. Good.
I had to buy a pair of his used shoes. So
Okay.
I bought. He had a pair of Air Flights that I was like, oh man, these are awesome. And he ultimately went to UCLA. He had got a scholarship offered to UCLA. Went to University of Wisconsin. He now coaches Olympic athletes and in triple jump and high jump, long jump, the whole thing. Right. I bought this pair of shoes from him and I put them on, and they were the most torn. They looked great on the outside. They were completely torn up on the inside. And I was like, these are like. You held up, it felt like it was going to fall down. I was like, what is going on?
Man, you think the kids chained to their sewing machines in Vietnam would have better quality
No.
standards?
It was more like, what is he doing? Like, what is this elite athlete doing with what are his feet doing that my feet aren't doing? My shoes are not like this after wearing them.
Well,
for like a
yes,
year.
he was
And,
pushing
like,
those things too.
Yes, and I was blown away. I think about that for like.
Well, there's also all those YouTube videos where they saw into every shoe and go, "Here's the quality of the shoe."
Right.
I've never seen that, but I do that with watch videos where they take watches apart, and it's pretty interesting.
You could be It's very weird if you get like Cartier has no. At least when I don't have one, but they're like, there's no insurance policy. If it breaks, you're paying for it. And then I had a Panerai, was given to me as a gift, and it had a stopwatch. They're like, hey, whatever you do,
Oh, nice.
make sure you stop the stopwatch before you hit the reset, because
Right.
if it's clicking and
Yeah.
then you hit the reset, you're going to break the watch. I'm like, this expensive watch is you and I was like, give me a break. And then, of course,
You did
we're
it?
wearing. No, I didn't.
Oh,
I was
good.
too scared.
Oh,
I was
okay.
scared of the watch. I was like,
do you
I don't
still
want-
have it?
I do.
Good. I have a theory. That's good. I have a theory. It's to me the most interesting people I know all have a Panerai. I'm not saying anything about it's a good watch or anything like that, but I just noticed the people.
Sean Lee would say the same thing.
Yeah, Sean
Why?
Lee has
Well-
7,000 Panerais.
Yeah.
But I feel like Panerai came on at like they came on as a brand in like 2000. Not
Well,
I mean, they came on
Sylvester Stallone.
strong.
It was. I just unplugged my my headphones. I think. Can you still hear me in your
Yes,
headphones?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I unplugged.
But now
my-
it's telling me to kill. Oh no.
But
That's been going on for years.
But yeah, it was Stallone and Schwarzenegger, kind of popularized Panerai, and they might have
cigars.
had fictional accounts of how Stallone found Panerai. Apparently, that's a big controversy. He claims when he was shooting something in Rome or a premiere in Rome, he was walking by a shop and like saw it, and then somebody was like, "Really?" Because that watch didn't exist when you were in Rome at that time. But whatever.
Oh.
Yeah. There's probably some money exchanged, but they're just great. And I don't have one, but I'd love to get one. But I just like Zwart, even though he's not allowed to talk about it because he's sponsored by Shepard. Like Zwart rocks a Panerai, and they're just they're cool
beautiful.
watches.
They're
just
beautiful,
cool.
but this, it's Italian submarine technology. Come on.
Is
Is that a famous navy?
Hey,
like we should be
well,
concerned about?
it's not a good navy.
They had a pretty great navy 2,000 years ago, but
but if you think about
and
it,
the
right?
Medici family did.
But if you think about it, like it's Italian, so it's like not the greatest watch, but man, it looks good, right? It's like an Italian car. It's like
May not. It's going to be great as long as
just don't push that button and that button.
Speaking of super smooth transition, tell us about your. You have a Tesla Model X. You still have it?
I do. Yeah,
And
that's my wife's car. Yeah.
20.
No, this is the first one. My wife has 75,000 miles on it.
Wow. So
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah, it was the first year you could buy one.
How's it holding up?
Not great. It's the engine and the driving, great. But if we take it, like if it hits a puddle, something's going to fall off.
Really?
But my wife also ripped off one of the doors when she drove into our garage. And then she did it again.
The Falcon door.
Yes, which they always have been like weird because they're like open a little, and then I'm like, well, now I'm gonna. The engine is so quick, and that's amazing.
I'm going to correct you. The motors, but yes,
The motors are
quick.
quick, and but it's an it was their first one.
The P you got a 90.
Yes,
The biggest. It was.
It was the Ludicrous engine. So
Yeah.
Ludicrous Speed or whatever, but based on
Yeah,
and so it was that alone. I mean, but it's falling off of it right now.
Well, I remember when we had one for SUV of the year. We had like an
75.
early one, and I watched as the Falcon rear doors were opening. It grabbed a piece of the rear trim, and I just watched sitting there as it just pulled the trim off the car.
Yeah, we put it on YouTube. That was great.
and it was like,
Well, hang on. So is this is this the McHale family first EV?
That was our first EV, and
Why'd you buy it?
because my wife really wanted an electric car.
Okay.
And of course, cut to me with, I have 2 GMC trucks. So I was like, see, it evens out. But
hey, yeah.
But I was always like, hey, if you buy a classic car, you're not pulling metal out of the ground.
There you go.
And
Right.
if you just put a new engine in them. Anyway, so that's, she wanted it. And, obviously now with gas prices in California, I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. So it is definitely their first run, and it's got issues.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're much better. I'm assuming they've got to be better now.
It's hard for us in Tesla because they don't really have a press fleet. So, we get to drive everything all the time, and like once in a while they'll give us a car. But
The more popularized, I think, quality issues have been with the much higher volume vehicles, the Model 3 and the Model Y. And yours is. I mean, at this point, it's old. Like
It's an old car,
It's
8 years old.
It's impressive that you still.
Yeah, my
A
wife.
man of your means has held onto a vehicle that long. I mean, like, why?
Well, I was
why do you
on the
keep- why do you
Rivian
keep
list.
did we park it on the tennis court?
No,
Yeah,
why,
no. Again, we parked in the butler's pantry. It's that big.
Right,
but I was on the Rivian list, and then I was locked into that original price.
Ooh.
And I was gonna get it.
Oh, that
but
would have
then
been a good deal.
Well, I wanted the new motor that just came out.
Okay.
That goes 400.
Yeah.
Instead
Oh,
of
you were
2.
worried about range. Why?
Well,
Why? You
I was
doing
just
a
like,
road
well, I
trip?
knew it was coming out. So it wasn't a road trip thing. It was just like, well, if
Latest,
it's
newest, right.
if it's right there, just a couple months from now.
Okay,
And
I
then
see,
they
yeah.
are switching all the ports over to Tesla ports.
Eventually, not. That's like 18 months off. Yeah.
Now. Okay. Well, then I was like, hold off.
Yeah. Rivian's great. Good. It'd be a good replacement for the X. It'd be a very.
Wait, you're talking R1S, the S, not the T.
SUV,
the truck,
or
not
the truck.
The SUV.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah. It's a good replacement.
But what's the waiting list at this point? But you can go buy
none.
them.
It's almost gone for the S is almost gone.
And for somebody,
So, and by the way, I know some people.
yeah, a person like you should be. They'll get
Yeah.
you right tomorrow.
I know some.
Person, you hear that?
Yeah.
Yes. Look,
Gabby, you hear that? Make
Yes.
sure you got it on there.
Yes.
Now, what did you? And now we're going to get it because we have chatted about the Lucid, I think.
Yeah.
Which I find it's just like a spaceship.
I love them. I'm such a big Lucid fan. It's weird. And again, I love like the Grand Touring Performance. It's 1,050 horsepower.
Yeah.
However, I drove the 600 horsepower one, which by the way is still 600 horsepower, and because it's electric torque, it's like as
My
quick
Turbo
as
S is
anything.
like 580.
Yeah. So it's terrific. Like that's the 2-motor, 600 horsepower. Because everything in those is miniaturized, meaning the motor and all that stuff. There's just tons of space. So you're in. From the outside, it looks like it's the size of. I'll use Mercedes terminology. It looks like it's the size of an E-Class, and you get in, and it's massive and cavernous. So it's like you're in this like super luxurious like isolation tank that has like great fabrics and leather and beautiful, and then you get out and it's like a regular sized car. It's this magic trick, and then
And then, like the lighting is different in the back seat than it is the front seat.
yeah. So what they did was they have 5 different interior trims at the moment. They might have a new 6th one for the Sapphire. I can't remember, but anyways, it's like Malibu at 5 a.m. That's like one interior. Then they have like Redwood Forest at like twilight and
Look at Ed.
Pretentious. I'm just putting my pinky in the air.
hey, at least it's something.
Hey, fine Corinthian leather was absolutely advertised by Chrysler forever.
Absolutely.
Ricardo Montalban.
And we're like, where is Corinth?
Yeah.
How did they get all this leather from
I want
there?
Ionian leather. And but yeah, so what they tend to do is like the 2 front seats are darker, so it's like a cockpit, and then the rear is more open and feels more airy, it's more spacious. But I'm so high on Lucid. I think they're just like
He's so high
really
Lucid,
cool
we
cars.
think he's shilling for them.
I wish Lucid give me money.
But when does the
Give me money.
When does the
All car
the
makers.
SUV come out? I mean the wagon. They're coming
they're
out
gonna
with a
show
wagon.
it
Gravity.
next month.
It's called the Gravity. It
Yeah.
shows up at the LA Auto Show, which should be the day this episode goes live.
Oh,
November
Yeah.
16th.
And I want to say production probably 10 months off.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
let me pause you here.
Oh.
This is weird. You know, again, you got a Turbo S, you got a bunch of Land Cruisers, you're building an International Scout with.
And I got the
with-
Oldsmobile,
got
but
the
I also
Oldsmobile.
have a Tornado. I just bought a 1966 Tornado.
oh, sweet. That's the most beautiful car of
And
the
that-
60s. Wow.
Yes, I love it.
And bone stock. Or are you going to do a Resto-Mod on that too?
Well, you gotta, because you gotta build the tunnel. So I'm torn because that 440 engine with 440 cylinders. It's a little. It's not. I would love it to be a daily driver, but that's gonna be.
Okay.
So, like Leno did that 1,000 horsepower engine,
Yeah.
and which
Well,
was,
I was about to mention Leno. Like, how many cars are you going to acquire?
I don't know.
Are you? Do you have? Have you?
We
You've been
have-
to- You've been to Leno's shop?
No.
Oh, what?
No, I have not.
Well, let's go.
He invited.
Yeah.
Yeah. You come in.
Yeah. He'll anytime.
We did do the Corsetti Cruiser. We got into an argument because he's like, "This is a used car. It's not a classic car." And I was like, "What's your measure?" And he's like, "1977." And I was like, "Let me guess. You have a bunch of cars from before 1977." And I was like, "This is where I'm gonna stick my sword. This is where the flag is planted, my friend."
Interesting.
And a couple of trucks. You have a GMC Denali. You said
I have
you
a GMC Denali, and just today I bought the 4XT or whatever. Literally.
AT4.
AT4X, yes.
Oh,
So,
a new one.
a brand new one, a 2024.
Those are awesome. So that's for those of you listening at home, those are the ZR2s, which are I think as good as stock off-roaders get. They're incredibly good. Good for
yeah,
you.
And I
You bought it today?
literally, it's one of the reasons I was late.
That's why you were late.
Because I was this guy named Jay who's
Yeah.
got it for me. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because I love a truck. And
Yeah.
so I have a problem with.
Do you go off-roading?
I really don't.
Do you want to now that you have that?
I would, yes,
Okay.
but I like when we go up to Big Bear. I don't want there to be anything that's going to stop me. Does that make sense? Like
So
I'm going to I'm going to make it to wherever I'm going.
In the AT4, nothing can stop you in Big Bear. You'll be
Seems like a primal fear. Is this something deep?
I just want to, have a bug out bag ready to go with 6,000 meals.
But
no, I'm like I also like I think they're incredibly well built. And
but that Chevy ZR2 GMC AT4, like that's the real deal. AT4X, I think. And I mean they're as good as
very cheap on gas.
off-roaders get. No, they're not cheap on gas.
Well, so you got all
That's
this
awesome.
aside from the Model X, which is your wife's car, and this expressed interest in a Rivian or Lucid. Like, come on, where does that come from? Like, it seems like you're really into.
I have gotten, it has grown, definitely. Because when I was driving my 89 Nissan Sentra forever, which when I got the clutch replaced, the guy was like, "How are you even driving this?"
Nice.
And I was like, "It's my baby." I think it's because as soon as the thing where I was like, "Oh, I can afford this thing." I just became more excited about them. And then the art of again, my older brother Chris was always into cars. So, but I was never the kid who was like, I got to get this new, it wasn't that, but I was a snob and have become more of one.
That's nice.
so-
I mean, that's,
But like the 66 Tornado, I saw the Leno special and I was like, that is the most beautiful. And they interviewed the guy that made it. And I was like, I would love to get one of those one day. But I was test driving FJs, old FJs, and I remember I would get into one. They would be so cheap 23 years ago when I was like, I can afford one of these. I'm like, oh, I can't really afford this because it's going to cost so much money to keep it maintained.
But you have real taste though. Like you don't like nobody accidentally buys an Icon FJ. Like they're cool looking, but there's lots of FJs. Like where did like this like. I don't know, like
You're kind of all over the map.
Turbo.
You got a Turbo S
I
for
don't mind all
performance,
over the map because it just means
and beautiful car in the Tornado,
Yeah.
and then again the fetish for the square-bodied off-roaders with LS swaps.
but ability to appreciate well, how did you meet Jonathan? I know we're kind of
because of Corolla.
Oh,
So
Adam.
Adam,
Okay, yeah,
Adam
yeah.
early on would have me on for the soup, and
Right.
he was always buying Lamborghinis off the internet.
Yes, he's got
And-
a lot of money. That one. Yes,
Yeah, he did.
yes.
And so I kept seeing when I worked at a wine shop on Larchmont, there was a TLC sticker in the back of this Land Cruiser, and I was like, "What is that?" And then I looked inside, and this guy had this brand new interior years ago. And then I knew that Corolla knew him, and he's like, "I give you his number." That's not a great impression. And
That's more Leno with the
that was some sort of
yeah.
But then Jonathan is so personable.
Oh, the greatest, yeah.
And now he's just selling like leather bags and coats,
hats and jackets,
like watches,
Watch
and so that's kind of how that. And then I knew how reliable that thing. I was like, I could drive this every day, other than when I drove it into a parking garage and slammed the top of the roof into the. And I was like,
they're
well,
quite tall.
$5,000. Here we go.
Yeah.
And
$5,000. You got away easy.
I just kind of messed up the
paint.
No, it was the I have like a, what do you call it?
Light bar.
Soft
Rack.
top. Soft top.
Soft
All
top.
right.
Anyway, so that's and so I got to know Jonathan. I went to the shop and I looked at all his, the derelict things, and I almost bought one of those. And
Dude, you should have him derelict the Tornado.
It's not a bad idea.
You know what I mean?
I think Corsetti is gonna.
Oh, okay.
Do the. But yeah, that's
because he has derelict, but then he has reformer, and so reformer is like if it's not massively patinaed, he'll take like a stock looking classic and like do the same mechanical.
Is he still doing those? I think he kind of shut down those.
No.
And now he can charge. I mean.
Oh yeah, real money. No, but he just did like slammed like 60 Suburban. Looks insane. I was just talking to him. He's like, "Come by and drive it. It looks wild."
That's I'd love to see.
It looks so good. It's like gunmetal on gunmetal, and like.
So it sounds like your interest in electrified vehicles is because you can. Like you're looking at it from like because you're looking at the Rivian, at the Lucid, at the higher end, the high performance.
Model X is pretty high end.
Yeah, well, when I first got behind the wheel of the Tesla, I was like, "Oh, this is the future," because the power was so immediate, and I knew it was as fast as my Porsche. It doesn't even come close to the handling, but I was like, "Oh, this is," and I find them neat. I mean, they're like cool, other than the fact that the Cobalt comes from Congo and the kids are digging
Cobalt
it.
in
But
your
that's
phone. But I'll just real quick, the Cobalt in your phone, that's from there. And guess what? You cannot actually produce. You can't refine oil into gasoline or diesel without this magical ingredient called cobalt.
Yeah.
Literally, you've never burned a gallon of gas since 1975 that wasn't made using cobalt. So, and the new Tesla chemistry, for instance, LFP, no cobalt.
Oh.
So
I just find it ironic that everyone's like, "I'm just so environmentally conscious, and that's why I want an EV." I'm like,
Well, I mean, it's not that cobalt's bad for the environment. It's on the periodic table. If you ate breakfast today, you've consumed cobalt. It's
how the people who are.
But I'm just saying it's more of a. But there are ways to like get ethically sourced cobalt. But I just like when people are on their device that has cobalt in it, saying, "I'll never buy an EV because of cobalt." It's like you really don't care.
Or lithium, right? It's
lithium. When the universe was created, the Big Bang, number one element was hydrogen, and then number two was helium, and then the third thing created was lithium. And if you look at a periodic table, it's, first element is hydrogen, helium, lithium. It's not some toxic thing. It's literally a building block of the universe. And anyway, don't get me started.
I couldn't agree.
I'm gonna rant.
I couldn't agree more because it was like, if you're pulling something if you're pulling new metal, then you're pulling new metal, no matter what it's for.
And it's a metal. It's not. Lithium's not bad. It's just
they just stopped the lithium mine that they were trying to make in
Salton Sea.
Yeah.
Oh, they stopped it.
I don't know. There's a lot of litigation.
They discovered that volcano stuffed with lithium. This is exciting news.
Under Nevada.
Yeah, but it's like the largest deposit of lithium on Earth. It's just sitting in Nevada, so we got to go. Yeah.
What are your kids going to drive, or are they driving?
Well, true. They're not interested. And
they're Ubering, right?
The 15-year-old, like when I would go pick him. I picked him up in the Porsche one time, and he was just like, "Never pick me up in this again."
What?
And then,
I hear that from they're embarrassed.
Oh, but
are they embarrassed?
I think it's And then I picked him up in the Land Cruiser that has these stripes on it, and he was like, "This is worse." And so now,
what are you supposed to pick him up in?
Well, I just stay up the block, and he walks up.
So it's you.
Yeah, no,
it's not the car. Right,
but
right.
he finds it. I think he finds it hilarious. Like this is where I think my kids are like, oh yeah, you're a child.
Okay.
Dad's doing his little hobby thing, and he's a child.
But does a 19-year-old have a car?
He's not interested.
Where does he live?
At our home.
How does he move around?
He's a very interesting man. He's very unique, and
Okay.
the kids don't.
They lift.
Does
they
the
Uber,
butler
right?
drive him
No,
around?
no.
Or which butler?
Which Butler? Yeah, I
Right.
was going to say. Actually, Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler drives the kid
it's great. It's expensive.
Well, I mean, Gerard, you get a great butler. I mean,
He's
as far as people, butlers go, Gerard's
it's
a good one.
The
Strike's been hard on a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but we pay him millions.
Oh.
See, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
He does very well. No, but I don't know. I'm gonna guess they're gonna be like, I'll take a Honda Civic.
But you don't say like, "Hey, kiddo, like you should have a car."
I'm like, hey, do you guys want to get your permit? No,
don't.
we'll talk about it later. Huh? Yeah. But I don't. Yeah, I don't care. It's fine. I really don't. I mean, it's a good skill to learn. Obviously.
Yeah.
I'll probably buy him a stick just because those never get stolen because no one knows how to drive them.
Yes.
But,
Right. But also, ticking like the younger you learn to drive, the less accidents you have in life.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get them.
Get them going.
Get 'em
I'll get
going.
them motorcycles. Start jumping them.
Yeah.
I get a foam pit.
Spike's doing that. His kids are doing wheelies on e-bikes all over the place. Like it's wild.
They do drive electric bikes.
Oh, they do?
Those can go up to.
Oh, yeah.
We have those.
Yeah.
30.
The amazing the Super 73s. And
Yes.
Oh.
they're great.
Oh, so that's how they get around. They have some
They
mobility.
can't. Well, I use them a lot too. But I was like,
Yeah.
we're going 30 miles an hour in this thing. And,
Yeah.
Please wear a helmet. Please wear a helmet.
Oh, we got to
please.
get you. I got one that can go like 60. It's
Well, you can reprogram.
yeah.
Which one to go 60?
Cake.
Oh yeah, the cake.
Yeah.
But the cake is a motorcycle.
Well, is it? I mean,
Yes.
The cake is rated
It
as a
is.
motorcycle.
There's no pedals.
It doesn't have pedals.
Yeah, no pedals. Yeah.
But the Super 73, it
Has
looks
pedals,
like
yeah.
such a cool, like a dirt bike from 1975.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also very nice people over there.
Yes.
It used to be called Lithium Cycles.
No.
And it's Super 73.
Nice people everywhere.
Michael Kahneman runs it. Okay,
No.
Michael, you heard that. The Corsetti one is the Corsetti is having a bike. His version, the Corsetti Cruiser bike is coming out. It's great.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you.
This is perfect.
Plug.
Let's plug. Let's close out by plugging.
Crime Scene Kitchen.
You're the host and executive producer. Is that
I
correct?
am.
What
Well,
does
one
an
of them.
executive producer do?
If you find the
I
money.
pick out like the best sweaters.
Okay.
And then I
That's
have to
kinda what I
get
thought.
a larger size so it fits later in the season. I'm not going like they're not going on. There's nothing like that. No, it's I make some suggestions and
Okay.
then I have
I wondered. And I brought it up because back when another show we had head-to-head. Not this is the new one, but the head-to-head. I was contract negotiation time. And my friend who's he's not my agent, but if I need him, he'd act as my agent. But he's like, you need to ask, he's like, how many seasons have you done? You got to become an executive producer. And I asked Jerry, our former coworker, and he's like, no, absolutely not. And I was like, really? Why not? He's like, you can't be an executive producer. That's not how we work. And I was like, okay.
And because he was the executive producer. and all those.
But there's always like 7 executive producers.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So
I'm just curious.
your friend Jerry should.
Yeah.
If you're the show, then yeah.
Well, the show's gone. He's gone. It's all.
He's dead?
No, he moved on. I think he retired.
No, he's done. He's working with Hemsworth. So they're doing, he did a different thing.
Okay.
So,
Ed's very uncomfortable.
Jerry's done great.
all good. Yeah.
Jerry's great. We love Jerry.
We love Jerry.
Jerry was awesome.
So and we love having.
Ed, we didn't talk about your cars at all.
It's fine.
He's got a Land Cruiser,
No, you've done me
like the one on
you've done
your
me a huge
shirt.
favor because I'm gonna now throw this over to Corsetti. I got to.
You got to get him in. He's great.
We'll get him in.
But Ed's got a Land Cruiser.
I have a
Porsche
an
Turbo,
87
just
60
like you.
series, but it has turbo diesel in it. It's got a Toyota turbo diesel in it. But
Canadian.
it's got it's a Canadian truck with a Japanese engine and a brand new 5-speed, but H55F Toyota 5-speed. It's all Toyota, but it's got a terrible electrical problem. So I got to get that sorted.
Oh, talk to
That's
Corsetti.
it. Yes.
He's got a Porsche
Although
Turbo.
Jonathan Ward was trying to help me with there's
Oh, well then great. Have Jonathan do it.
there's a terrible story there. I'll tell you off air.
All right.
'Cause-
Jonathan was horribly electrocuted during
Yes.
the fixing.
No,
Ed
it's actually
killed
worse. It's
Jonathan.
actually worse than that. So Yeah. But no, it was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. This finally.
Yeah,
I'll never be-
It's
Finally.
sort of sad that it actually happened.
Yeah.
Not because of how terrible it was, but just like it was such a good running joke. Like
No.
McHale booked
Joe
it.
McHale's.
When did he drop
he's
out? Has he
flaking
dropped out
again.
yet?
Oh, he's got to go here to do this.
But if you want to see if you want to get an inside line on a Rivian, here's your man. Also a Lucid.
Yeah.
But they're showing the Gravity at the LA, the Lucid Gravity, the new SUV.
Next month.
Yeah,
months?
November 16th, apparently. And so we can circle back.
And Shaheen Karimian, I believe it's pronounced.
Shaheen, carry me in.
Yeah,
That's Scout.
Shaheen. Is it Scout? So we know everybody.
All your dreams come true.
We know everybody.
Square-bodied SUV with some
See,
kind of electric
I'll
powertrain.
show you what my Scout looks like at this point. Okay. It's almost done.
I'm excited about
amazing.
Scout. That's
Pretty
super cool.
pretty wonderfully stupid and ridiculous and great.
But
That's
thank
awesome.
you so much. And now you guys fight.
No, only I told you. Kurt,
like that monitor. You don't need that.
Right, no.
No, I'm telling you, Curtis Stone. I'm
Have you been to Gwen?
no.
It is one of the best restaurants on the planet.
Yeah?
And it was just rated by Rob Report as one of the top 10 steakhouses on the planet.
I do love steakhouses.
it's
and
magic.
it's one of the things I can eat on my diet is steaks.
Well, there you
It's
go.
good. Yeah.
It is, but like the salad is like.
No, I know. I love. I mean,
It's a
yeah.
French steakhouse, and it's just.
We'll make a dinner of it.
Let's go.
We'll have Spike.
Curtis Stone.
And Jonathan.
No, you don't want to eat with
Jonathan,
Spike. You
He
don't
also has Mod, which is great.
Jonathan Wood.
Oh yeah. No, we can get better
And
people than Spike.
Simarusti and-
We can
and
get
Sang-Yun and,
yeah. We'll
Let's
get
get
all our
Seinfeld to
friends.
come out. Let's be great.
He won't do anything with anyone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Before you go, could you do us a huge favor? And
You're
look
listening to the InEVitable podcast.
Oh, that was
that was
good.
perfect. But also look directly in the camera and ask Dax Shepard if he'd come on and do this because I listened to his great podcast with you on it. And
Dax, would it kill you to come on the InEVitable? I get it. They only have a 100th of your listenership
Yes,
and
if
viewership, or is that even
not
being
even
modest?
1,000th.
But Dax, you love cars. You're literally you can race motorcycles. Come on, they're great guys.
Thank you.
Wow.
You'll love it. You'll love it. Dax, come on. What's going on? You'll love it. You might have to go to him though.
I know.
Well, we'll talk about that off the air. Anyways.
It was awesome having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
it was
having
great.
me.
It was really fun.
Very excited to not to delay now to never commit again. And
No.
then finally come in after
We've
7
done
years.
it. We'll get a new joke.
It's gonna be great. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.